Chapter 151 10 years. Disappear. Disappear? Why couldn't believe it. Why can the other party say such things in such an understatement? Crocodile is a shikibukai. Moreover, the Baroque studio under his name has thousands of people. There are many strong ones among them. But why can the other party say such things so casually? She didn't know much about the Dragon Slayer pirates. She just heard that he was a big pirate. She heard it from her father, Cobra. He is a great pirate who dares to beat up the celestial dragons. Boss, he is the Kyuhai. Kong. Brother Kongzin, are you kidding? Why asked again. Sure enough, she still can't believe it, right? Yamato on the side came over and laughed. Oops, you take that guy too seriously, don't you? I can beat that guy named Crocodile. Why is there any need for Brother Kongzan to take action? Yamato smiled and shook his head. He shook his head. She didn't care about Crocodile. That's right. What does Crocodile mean? You join the Dragon Slayer pirates. It won't take long before you can defeat him too. Kana agreed. It won't be long before she arrives. He also deeply understood the power of Kongzan. Really? Why still found it difficult to accept. If you want to become stronger, you have to train. If possible, let Yamato take you to train now. How? Kongzan looked at her and asked. Become stronger? Please train me. Wai's eyes became serious. Very good, Yamato. Kongzan looked at Yamato, and Yamato naturally understood what Kongzan meant. Leave it to me. Yamato nodded. Her eyes moved to Wai. Let's go. Yamato's expression became serious. Saw two people leaving. Kongzan also turned the gravity on the ship back on. Now is practice time. But for Kongzan, there were other things to do. The place where their ship was located was right between Rainland and Albana. By the way, Albana is the capital of the Kingdom of Alabaster and the residence of the royal family. The former funerary temple was to the west of Albana. Kongzan jumped off the boat. Stand directly in the desert facing Albana. There is still a distance, so I can't see clearly. That's almost it. Hidden village. It would be interesting to be summoned to the pirate world. Kongzan raised the corner of his mouth. Don't forget that he also has a summoning character force system. This also happens to be a desert area, which is very suitable for the summons of Sand Hidden Village. Kongzan was bought with points. It's not expensive. The entire force only has a few thousand points, and it's mainly because of the discounts that make it so cheap. It's really cool that your own group leader privileges can also be used in other systems. These subsystems really belong to the same family. Wow, huge buildings emerged from under the desert. Up, keep emerging. Grains of sand fall from these buildings. The entire ninja village appeared in front of Kongzan. Immediately afterwards, several ninjas rushed over from the ninja village. Gaara, who was standing on the floating sand, flew in the front, followed by Temari and Kankuro. There are also tens of thousands of ninjas. It's really spectacular. Kongzan raised his eyebrows and became impressed. Not a moment. Everyone is listed. Gaara jumped down from the sand and walked slowly to Kongzan. Immediately afterwards, he knelt down halfway. Gaara, I have met with a leader on behalf of Tsunagakure village. He said this. The short red hair is very conspicuous. There is a word love on the left forehead, and the entire eye circles are black. His eyes were full of awe, and he looked extremely loyal. Gaara, this desert will be yours from now on. I will give it all to you to rule. Tsunagakure village should be able to do it, right? Kongzan looked at Gaara calmly and asked. That's right. He just wanted to rule Alabaster. Let the entire Alabaster become your own territory, including all the desert areas here. And the Gaara in front of him was also unusual, because it was created by the system using the original power. It is still a Jinchuriki today and can become a perfect Jinchuriki. Gaara and Shukaka cooperate perfectly and can only be stronger than the original. Of course it's as the leader wishes. Gaara raised his head, his eyes very serious and solemn. Okay, from now on you will be under my command and the Dragon Slayer pirates. Kongzan nodded lightly, and then continued. 10 days, I will give you 10 days to completely control Alabaster. With your abilities, should be no problem. After Gaara heard this, he nodded slightly and said, don't worry, leader. 10 days, more than enough. Gaara did not hesitate, and seemed to be confident of winning. Okay, I feel relieved after hearing what you said. Waiting for your good news. I have completely mastered the island in the past few days, and I can leave with peace of mind. Kongzan sighed softly. Don't worry. We'll set out immediately to attack the nearby area. Let the leader wait for good news. Gaara finished speaking. In that case, I'll leave first. This time it's not only about my reputation. It's also about your roots in this world. You can decide the detailed tactics yourself. Kongzan turned round. He stood up and waved his hands without saying much. Just like that, he slowly left. All the ninjas looked at Kongzan's back with respect. But in his heart, Kongzan was thinking, the roles given by the system are easy to use. I wonder if Gaara will face off against Sand Crocodile. An elementalization, a defensive fortress. Never mind. That Sand Crocodile guy has been whipped by himself. If he heard his name, he wouldn't dare to stop him anymore. right? Kong Zhan thought. Got on a boat not far away. Sunshine is very close to Sand Hidden Village, just a few hundred meters, so it will be very convenient to report at that time. After boarding the ship, Kong Zhan randomly found a place to sit down. Just opened the group chat directly. Group chat. Izumi Shinichi, I've been so busy lately, I haven't watched the group for a long time. Kanki Ken, let me go, brother Shinichi, it's been a long time since I saw you. Mano Shiho, Shinichi, familiar name. No Fumi Iwatani, how is brother Shinichi doing lately? Izumi Shinichi, looking for a job, working. Purely a social animal. Baixiofai, this new brother is also very strong, right? Izumi Shinichi, strong? No, I'm not as obsessed with this as they are. After all, this is just an ordinary world here. Izumi Shinichi, I just live a normal life. Although I can't spend all the money I exchanged for points, I get scolded by my family at home all day long, so I have no choice but to go out and look for a job. Izumi Shinichi, there is so much money, but the channel cannot be explained clearly. Baixiofai, in the end of the world, it means that money is useless. Kanki Ken, brother Shinichi is so pitiful. Chapter 152, Kong Zhan has no destiny. Baixiofai, a young man who pursues an ordinary life. It's so good, Butterfly Ninja, you are so free. We are still training. Koching sire, brother Kong Zhan's requirements for you are really harsh. Train every day. Bujima Seko, at Butterfly Ninja where are you? I'll practice with you. Butterfly Ninja, Sister Seko, I'm having something to eat in the cafeteria. Shay, as expected of you, you went to the cafeteria to practice. Butterfly Ninja, the energy is exhausted. Need to replenish energy. Mikasa, I wanted to. Shay, in that case, leave me a copy too. Takagi sire, 6, Baixiofai, 6, Kanki Ken, 6, Iwatan Ino Fumi, at Ken, are you out? Brother Jinmu, go get something to eat. I'm starving. Kanki Ken, oh, I went to outer space to see how this world is different from my world. Baixiofai, Frog, why don't you see brother Jinmu at night? He actually went to outer space to play. Baixiofai, is there really no problem? There should be no oxygen outside, right? Kanki Ken, it doesn't matter. I took a look and found that the overall planetary structure of this world is still similar to mine. Kanki Ken, but there are still many differences in details. Baixiofai, brother Jinmu, what do you say? Kanki Ken, for example, although this world is the same as my world, Blue Star exists, and even the whole world is similar. Kanki Ken, but in terms of details. For example, most of the terrains are completely different, and at most they are somewhat similar. Kanki Ken, it feels like it's a world with a structure but changes a lot of details. It's really strange. Seeing what Jin Muian said, Kong Zhan was really amazed. I didn't expect it could be analyzed to this extent. These things are all created in 3 dimensions according to their own worlds, and of course they will be very similar. Kong Zhan, as expected of brother Jinmu, his analysis is so clear. Kanki Ken, haha, the boss is not like Kanki Ken, it just feels a little weird. I wonder if the boss can give me some advice. Kong Zhan, this is hard to explain. Kong Zhan, let me tell you this. Kong Zhan, if you write a novel based on your own world through your own world, this novel is a real world. Kong Zhan, maybe this is the kind of world we live in. Kanki Ken, I always feel like you have said this before, boss. Kong Zhan, really? Haha. Kong Zhan, but don't you think it's still possible? Kanki Ken, that's what I say. It's indeed possible. Kanki Ken, but it's too outrageous. Kanki Ken, and there is no scientific basis. Kanki Ken complained silently. Baixiofai, the head of the group leader is too big. The novel is the world. How is it possible? Baixiofai, we must believe in science. Kong Zhan, but do you think this chat group is scientific? Kanki Ken, this. Baixiofai, Iwatan Ino Fumi, I think what the boss said is not unreasonable. No Fumi Iwatani, our group chat is already beyond our 3 views, and it actually connects people from all kinds of worlds. Iwatan Ino Fumi, it is entirely possible that what the boss is talking about is a structure of the world. Kanki Ken, if this is the case, are we really comics and novels from other worlds? Kanki Ken, this is hard to accept. Kong Zhan, is it possible that it is just a way of transmitting information between the world and the world? Kong Zhan, perhaps it is a kind of interlacing and transmission of information that makes the 2 worlds so similar. Kong Zhan, maybe the world written by the author is just a message conveyed from a place far, far away. Kong Zhan, perhaps the so-called inspiration is just a strong message. Kong Zhan, perhaps the overlapping and interlacing of high-dimensional space and space will also lead to the transmission of information. Kong Zhan, of course, it's just a guess. Kanki Ken, although I don't understand, I was greatly shocked. No Fumi Iwatani, by the way, can't the boss see the future of our world? Iwatani no Fumi, I think there must be truth to what the boss said. Baixiofai, that's right. Indeed, Baixiofai, the leader of the group is also quite an extraordinary person. Black Tower, can you see the future of our world? Black Tower, interesting, can you see my world? What's the future? Kong Zhan, Black Tower, a world where star gods are flying all over the sky. Zhan. The future, simulated universe, a global locust plague. Black Tower, oh ho, you actually know about the simulated universe. It's not done yet. Black Tower, when it's done. Black Tower, do you want to test it? Zhan, ha ha ha, maybe you can try it. Black Tower, speaking of which, you actually know about the locust plague in the world. This is a plan that will take a long time to come, although you have preliminary ideas. Zhan, it's just too difficult. It's recommended to lower it. You can't play without earning money. Whispering. Black Tower, what? Krypton gold? Zhan, pretend I didn't say that. Zhan, all in all, I haven't seen a lot of things on your side. Please pay attention to your safety. Zhan, I have also heard that a certain prank star god is quite powerful, but it shouldn't be me. His opponent. Black Tower, a prank star god? Are you talking about Aha? Black Tower, it seems you know a lot. But are you sure he is not your opponent? Black Tower, that's the guy who gave the destruction star god indelible scars. Zhan, probably, but I think it's better to die with nothingness. Black Tower, question mark. Zhan, because I'm lazy. Nothingness is what suits me best. Black Tower said. What else can I say? Mikasa, brother Zhan, you lazy guy. Bushima Seko, I have never seen him practice, and I have no idea why he is so strong. Butterfly Ninja, indeed, after more than 10 years of training, we still cannot see the limits of brother Zhan. Baixiofai, Frog, the boss is really strong, ridiculously strong, Baixiofai exclaimed directly. Moreover, Kanki Ken is powerful enough to fly out of the universe at will. He really doesn't know how strong this Zhan boss is. Is it possible to wander around various galaxies? And the star god they just talked about sounds very powerful too. Is he really a god? Boss Zhan actually said he could beat him. Defeating God. Baixiofai couldn't even imagine such a thing. Chapter 153 Confrontation. A few days later, everything was as Zhan expected. Even though Alabasta has a standing army of 600,000, there is no way to resist the tens of thousands of ninjas here, because the accuracy is not to the same level at all. And this war also subverted Crocodile's worldview. Crocodile, who was standing in the clock tower not far away, was full of wonder. How come these people can control fire, water, and even sand? How is it possible? There can't be so many of the same devil fruits. And it's impossible for one person to eat 2 devil fruits at the same time. But one of them has several abilities. Why on earth? Crocodile patted his scalp and didn't understand. He originally wanted to join in the fun, but the red-haired boy with panda eyes said that he was a member of the Dragon Slayer Pirates. He didn't dare to be tough. And how could so many people from the Dragon Slayer Pirates appear at once? What kind of ninja are you talking about from Sunagakure village? Yes, ninja. This time, Crocodile's CPU dared to smoke. I heard that there are ninjas in Wano, but I have never heard that there are ninjas in Alabasta. Boss, what should we do next? Mr. One asked. He is Crocodile's most trusted subordinate. He is tall, muscular and has a monk's hair. He ate the quick-cut fruit in the devil fruit, which can also be called the cutting fruit. It can turn his whole body into a blade as hard as iron, and his defense is very powerful. Leave Alabasta. Crocodile gritted his teeth and said. The most important reason why he made this decision was that he went to Nefruitli Cobra 2 days ago to ask for the historical text. I had no choice but to take things slowly, but since there was a threat from the Dragon Slayer Pirates, I naturally became more urgent. When I saw Cobra, I also saw the bastard tattoo on his head, which felt a little strange. Later, under his violent methods, Cobra said, the historical text is gone and has been taken away. But Crocodile couldn't believe it. The historical text recording Pluto just disappeared! Exclamation mark. What a bastard. I have spent so much effort on this. He only found out later after Crocodile kept asking. It turned out that the Dragon Slayer Pirates stole it. Without any choice, he could only curse and leave. The main reason is that so many people on the opposite side have Overlord color. It's really scary. What is Overlord color? That's what the king has. But how could so many kings be on the same ship at the same time? Crocodile really couldn't figure it out. And also how these ninjas were created. If it's these ninjas, I might have some clues. Miss pointed her fingers and said, oh? You said? Crocodile asked. In the west, a Sunagakure village did appear. It's just that these guys appeared without warning. I went to investigate before. This shinobi village is very large and relies on the sea currents. And there is a big ship on that current. It must be the ship of the Dragon Slayer Pirates, Miss said with her fingers. So what do you mean? Crocodile looked gloomy. Even though I've been talking about this for a long time, I haven't even gotten to the point. I mean, in a place where there was nothing originally, there was only the ship of the Dragon Slayer Pirates next to it. Then, this ninja village is most likely brought by the other party. But yes, it's really hard to say how to make it appear here. Miss pointed her fingers in thought before continuing to speak. Judging from the current situation. It is true. We know too little about them. Suddenly changing such a large ninja village to this place. It's really outrageous. But this is the only reasonable statement. Is this also a ninjutsu? It can transform the entire ninja village. Crocodile murmured, and then shook his head. This kind of thing is far beyond our knowledge. It's time to go. If they wait until Alabaster is cleared, we will be next. Crocodile turned and left. I stayed here for a long time, but I didn't expect that all my efforts were in vain. It's really annoying. But the Dragon Slayer pirates actually attacked the world government's participating countries. How will they withstand the world government's counterattack then? Crocodile became a little curious about it. After all, even if he wanted to obtain Alabaster, he had to do a lot of small tricks behind the scenes. But the Dragon Slayer pirates only came for a short time. And then they just came up. Not timid at all. This is a sign of complete disregard for the world government. Is the world government willing to suffer the loss of being dumb? At least in Crocodile's view, the world government will definitely fight back, whether it's for profit or fame. Just like that, he left. Not long after, the royal army of Alabaster was successfully suppressed by Zhan. Nefertiti Cobra was even more haggard, with black eyes, holding onto his old waist. He walked with a limp. Assholes. Dragon Slayer pirates. He gritted his teeth. By the way, so many days have passed. His anus was still burning and painful, and he was surrounded by guards wearing masks. Why wear a mask? Naturally, there is something on the face that makes it impossible to face people directly. Cobra, you must be the king here. Gaara walked into the palace, looked at King Cobra, and said expressionlessly, you are that. Gaara. Cobra had naturally heard of the other person's reputation these days. You can manipulate the sand at will. It is somewhat similar to the rumored crocodile. But the other party's men were too powerful, and it seemed that they didn't spend much effort at all to deal with their own army. Yes, Alabaster will be under the command of our Dragon Slayer pirates from now on. Do you have any objections? Oh, by the way, if there is no problem, you will still be the king of Alabaster. You can still be protected by our Dragon Slayer pirates. How? Gaara spread his hands and explained. What? Even so, it's impossible. And we are a member of the world government. It won't be long before the world government launches an attack on you. The Dragon Slayer pirates will all be destroyed by then. Alabaster. Cobra gritted his teeth and looked at Gaara fiercely. Are you threatening me? Gaara raised his eyebrows. Oh no. He has no eyebrows. Not bad. If you take action against us, the world government will definitely. Chapter 154 Threat. That's right. If you take action against us, the world government will definitely. Cobra was interrupted before he could finish his words. The sound came from outside the palace. Yes. What? Zhan was seen dragging two people with both hands. It's Bell and Garka. Bell is the adjutant of the guards of the kingdom of Alabaster and has the ability of the animal type bird fruit falcon type. Hayato Jarka is also the adjutant of the guards of the kingdom of Alabaster and has the ability of the animal type dog fruit jackal type. The jackal. The two men, now covered in blood, were dragged over like this. Bell. Jarka. Cobra looked ugly. Behind Zhan is YY, but her eyes were covered with a cloth, and her ears and mouth were blocked. His hands were also tied. YY. Cobra's eyes widened, and then his face was full of anger. Arsehole. You actually used YY to threaten me. How is it? Do you still want to continue to resist? Zhan grinning. Wah. He threw Bell and Garka directly. Bang. The two of them hit the wall and fell down with a snap. Just like two corpses. There was no reaction. Cobra was a little anxious, but when he looked carefully at Zhan's face, he was startled again. It's you. The guy who stole the text of history. You also imprisoned me in the royal cemetery. And what on earth did you do that day? Cobra said and touched his butt. A bad memory emerges from the memory. If Bell hadn't found the royal cemetery at that time, he might have been trapped in it. Bell. Vivi was also tied up. Cobra looked at Bell who had fallen down again, and now he really didn't know what to do. So what? So. If you Alabaster can't join the Dragon Slayer pirates, then. All of you will die here. TSK. 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 Like your daughter? Look. How white your skin is. Oh my. Zhan walked up to YY and stroked her cheek. Maybe I can let her give birth to my child to take your place. Zhan showed an inexplicable smile. But this smile made Cobra shiver down his back. Arsehole. Cobra's heart felt numb. Do you want your daughter to suffer for the sake of Alabaster? Hateful. Cobra felt powerless. He sighed and said, okay, I promise you. Alabaster, surrender to the Dragon Slayer pirates. Cobra felt very weak. Really don't know what to do about this. But he certainly wouldn't watch YY's death. Princess YY. The surrounding soldiers also looked helpless. Then you can let my daughter go. Cobra frowned. Of course. No, who knows if you will regret it. Yamato. Zhan turned around and shouted. Wah, a girl with red horns suddenly appeared. Brother Zhan, what's wrong? She asked directly. Take YY away. Zhan glanced at the blue-haired girl and continued to speak. Okay. Yamato also nodded quickly. Didn't say much. Bastard. Stop them. Cobra shouted directly. The soldiers instantly surrounded Zhan and the others. Cobra, the leader has given you a lot of face. If you insist on seeking death again, you will really die. The sand in Gaara's gourd flowed out, as if consciously. The feet of the surrounding soldiers were quickly entangled and tightened. Ugh! The leg bones of these soldiers were broken. Blood spilled directly, and then they fell to the ground holding their feet and screaming in pain. Hey, I surrender. Cobra lowered his head, and his face seemed much older. Now there is really no other way. Zhan won't let anyone go, but he has extremely strong strength. Of course, Cobra is no match at all. That's fine, Gaara, I'll leave it to you after that. If you betray him, I'll kill him without mercy. Zhan said calmly, turned around and left. And Yamato had already left with YY. After all, how can these soldiers move as fast as Yamato? Understood, leader. Gaara also nodded seriously. Then, he looked at Cobra. Sunshine, where did you go just now? You blindfolded me and plugged my mouth and ears. It's so mysterious. But I came back right after I went. YY bulged her mouth, looking very unhappy. I feel cheated. Ahaha. It's a little something. Yamato scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. Well, YY looked unhappy. Okay, don't be angry. I did go to do something. Crocodile should have left Alabasta by now, and this place now belongs to our Dragon Slayer pirates. Zhan smiled. Got up. What? Then father, he said halfway. YY subconsciously covered her mouth. Don't worry, Neferoutli YY, we have already negotiated with your father. He has agreed. Zhan's mouth curved. Hey, you know my identity. YY was also surprised at this time, but she didn't expect that her identity had been revealed long ago. Then Crocodile. YY seemed to realize something. Yes, Crocodile also knew. That's why he sold you to me. Zhan successfully started to talk nonsense. It's actually... Has it been discovered a long time ago? YY looked dull. Unexpectedly, his identity had already been discovered. Then why are you still pretending? It's so embarrassing. You obviously knew my identity from the beginning. That's right. Then why didn't you tell me? What did you say? Tell me. About me. Identity. I always thought I came here as a member of Brock Studio. Then you didn't even ask. Zhan's answer left YY speechless. Indeed, I didn't ask. But how can I ask it myself? If you ask, you will most likely be put off. After all, the other party is a big pirate. To be honest, he has always been very cautious. It turns out that the other party already knew it. And didn't even care. Hey, okay, so, you asked me to join you because you knew that I was the princess of Alabasta. I just said that Alabasta is already the territory of the Dragon Slayer pirates. Yes, it seems you were threatening my father with me just now, right? YY showed a disdainful expression. In fact, she felt very familiar just now in the palace. I can't tell. Maybe it's the floor beneath my feet. Or maybe it's the smell. All in all, there is always this sense of familiarity in the place where I grew up. It's just that she didn't think too much about it. Now that she thinks about it carefully, she can almost come up with it. Chapter 155 Distilled. As expected of you, you are so smart. Zhan also chuckled. I didn't expect that Princess YY was very smart. Hey, anyway, I still hope you will try your best to protect my country. Helpless YY sighed. But she didn't know why. But she felt that it wasn't that important at this time. That's why the word try your best is used. The scale in her heart seemed to be tilted towards Zhan. In fact, she was a little confused, but she didn't think much about it. Of course, I let Sand Hidden Village be here just to protect Alabasta. Zhan did not hesitate, because Alabasta itself will be included in it. If it is his own thing, he will not let others harm it wantonly. Even if it is a world government. So what? That's enough. YY chuckled. Having said that, Dasichi was also very obedient during that time. The effect of my own blood is really powerful. It just feels perfectly placing one's own existence in a perfect position in the other person's heart. But the other party also has his own consciousness. But why? They can go against what is important in their hearts and go towards themselves. It's really intriguing. Hey, Zhan sighed softly and shook his head. Sure enough, don't think about it so much. Anyway, I can't think of it myself. Eat well, drink well, and find a girl you like. Live an invincible and free life. This is an otaku's dream. Yamato. Zhan suddenly shouted. Brother Zhan, what's wrong? Yamato immediately rushed to Zhan. Quack quickly. There's a banquet tonight. We're leaving tomorrow. Zhan shouted cheerfully. The sound spread all around. They who were practicing at first also gained motivation. Oh ho ho. Yamato became even more excited. Let's go. YY, let's go practice. Digest and digest so you can eat well at night. Yamato said and pulled YY away. YY almost didn't react. But she has been pulled away by Yamato. Zhan looked at the two of them and couldn't help but chuckle. Looking up at the sun, Zhan realized that the weather was not bad today. By the way, it seems like it rarely rains in Alabasta. Then, before I leave, let me give you a big gift. Zhan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, stretched out his hand. Suddenly, the sky was filled with dark clouds, covering the entire Alabasta, except for the top of the sunshine. The royal palace. Cobra and Gaara were still discussing some of the next policies. I saw soldiers outside running over quickly. Your Majesty the King. The soldier was so nervous that he was even a little unsteady and trembling. What's wrong? What's the matter? Cobra frowned. After all, no one likes to be interrupted when talking about something. Your Majesty the King. Outside. The soldier was still out of breath. Okay. Be more steady when doing things. Be like me. Take a deep breath, then talk, Cobra said seriously. Breathe. The soldier also took a deep breath and took a breath. It's much better. Okay, let's talk. Seeing the soldier calm down, Cobra spoke calmly. Your Majesty the King, there are dark clouds outside. It seems like it's going to rain, the soldier said with serious eyes. It's raining. It's so small. What? It's going to rain. Cobra's eyes widened instantly, showing an astonished expression. It's raining? What's that report? Gaara asked with some confusion. You don't know, we haven't had rain here for a long time. Anyway, someone is using dancing powder, right? Cobra's eyes seemed serious. After all, dancing fans are prohibited. Dancing powder has previously been used to make rain fall in many dry places. But dancing powder makes it harder to rain in surrounding areas. Therefore, the use of dancing powder is expressly prohibited. But some time ago, information came out that someone was using dancing powder. This is what Cobra is worried about. Probably not. We inspect dancing fans very strictly. Almost all private goods have been collected. It is unlikely that there will be any left. The soldier shook his head. Okay, quick, go out and take a look, Cobra said quickly. This matter is related to everyone's water source issue, so Cobra also paid special attention to it. Garadono, please come too. Cobra didn't dare to neglect him now. After all, joining the Dragon Slayer pirates is equivalent to breaking up with the world government. This is a big gamble, or a forced gamble. Well, let's go together. Gaara also nodded and stood up. Temari and Kankuro behind him also followed. Cobra walked at the front. The sky was covered with thick dark clouds. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The rain also fell drop by drop. Cobra stretched out his hand and couldn't help but shed tears. Finally, did it finally rain? These days, because of the drought, people are miserable. But now, it is raining. Even Cobra, as the king, was extremely excited at this time. Gaara also didn't expect that the rain would make him so moved. Do you rely on the rain to drink water? Gaara walked forward and frowned. The land is now dry. There is not much drinking water stored in the country. Besides waiting for rain, what else can I do? Cobra looked helpless. But isn't there a sea all around you? Can't you drink distilled water distilled from the sea? Gaara suddenly asked. These are the basics of ninja outdoors. Distillation, the sea? Cobra seemed a little confused. Even Kankura covered his face at this scene. What backward country? Temari couldn't help sighing. Ha. Cobra smiled awkwardly. But it seemed to be related to the issue of water, so he continued to ask seriously, may I ask about the distilled water you mentioned? What is it? Gaara sighed. He also didn't expect that this country didn't even know such a thing. No wonder we are suffering from water shortage. Even water distilled from the sea is drinkable. Distilled water. Simply put, it boils and vaporizes seawater by heating it, and then condenses the steam into fresh water. In this way, the seawater can be drunk. This is called distillation. This method can at least ensure everyone's water supply. Drinking. Gaara started to learn more. What? You mean convert seawater into fresh water? Cobra's eyes widened with a look of surprise on his face. At the same time, a certain captain of the guard who had no news at all, still at Whiskey Peak. He is Ikaram with his strange curly hair, still waiting for Princess YY to come back and give him news. Chapter 156 Advance Force, Drought Jack Rogue Town. Surrounding sea areas. A ship carrying two large tusks came from a distance. It was Drought Jack, one of the three disasters under Yonko Kaido. Drought Jack, as the vanguard, took the lead at the front to check the intelligence. Captain Jack, the sea ahead is actually frozen. It is rumored that Ake Ainu and Okiji were defeated here. Otherwise, we should return to the ship and report the situation first. The crew member said with a worried look. Why withdraw? Jack said coldly. The crew member didn't know how to answer the question. Who do you think I am? Pull the boat over. Drought Jack shouted. Yes, the younger brother didn't dare to disobey the order. Without saying a word, he pulled the boat over because everything around the port was blocked by ice. Jack's ship can only dock next to the ice-covered sea. Put down the anchor. After they fixed the boat, they got off the boat. There were traces of battle on the ice, but there were no corpses. Jack frowned, feeling a little weird. Inside the great tomb of Nazarick. Albedo sat on a chair and looked at the mirror in front of her. The mirror, about 1 meter in diameter, did not reflect Albedo's appearance, but Drought Jack on the ice. The mirror is like a television, showing scenes on the ice. They are. Albedo touched her chin, feeling a little unfamiliar. Lord Albedo, according to the investigation, they should be one of the three disasters under the Yonko Kaidos, named Drought Jack. Butler Sabaz said seriously. Drought Jack? Drought? Interesting title. Albedo was very interested. And according to the intelligence, 18 years ago, Kaido had a grudge against Lord Kongzan. Sebastian turned to look at the mirror and spoke calmly. Grudges? So they are here to grab territory, right? In that case, then entertain them well. The entire Rot town has become a breeding ground for the undead, demons, and alien species. I want to see how they seek death. Albedo sneered. Then looking at Sebastian, she continued, order the Death Knights in Rotown. Send out 100 of them to launch an attack. And 1,000 low-level undead skeletons. According to modern terms, just cool. Let's test the water first. She chuckled softly. In fact, they don't know how strong the Yonko is now, but based on the strength of the previous admiral, it is indeed just that. If you fight alone, you may not be able to defeat the admiral, but if you cooperate, you may not be able to defeat him. After all, even these Death Knights have extremely high defense values. I understand, Lord Albedo. Sabers nodded lightly without saying much. He just turned around to leave. If I can't beat him, I'll leave it to you, Sabers, Albedo suddenly said. Of course, no problem. Sebastian's tone was natural and gentlemanly. He paused for a moment before continuing to walk out. Drought Jack and a group of younger brothers are still wandering on the solid ice. Even though several days had passed since that battle, the coldness on the ice remained unabated. Not far away, Rotown seemed to exude an indescribable smell of death. Although the nervous Jack thought it was nothing, the younger brothers felt it, and even felt a little trembling and fearful in their hearts. Maybe because they are weak, they are more sensitive to dangerous smells. Regarding the fear of imminent death, Captain Jack, should we go directly to the island? A younger brother asked. The inattention caused a few drops of cold sweat to fall on his forehead, and he couldn't help but swallowed with a gulu sound. Huh? Are you scared? Jack's eyes were cold, and his tone seemed to be questioning him. No, Captain Jack. How could I be scared? You can really joke. The boy waved his hand quickly and said, then what are you asking? Just follow me to the island. Jack shouted angrily, and then walked straight forward. The younger brother was also helpless and continued to follow him. They walked for a while and finally arrived at the port. Just when Jack was about to step off the ice onto land, it's you. Invading the territory of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, Sebastian led an army of undead forward. His face was calm. What are those? Why are they all skeletons? Is the old man the only one alive? So many black skeletons with shields and swords. So big. The boy's face was full of surprise. Their cacophony of voices echoed round. Although the Death Knight is very high, it is still a little behind Drought Jack. After all, Drought Jack is 8 meters tall, and these guys are only 4 or 5 meters tall. Are you Drought Jack under Kaido? Oh, you are really huge. Sabers touched his chin and sighed. He seemed a little surprised. Huh? Who are you, and the skeleton behind you? Jack frowned. I am the steward of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Just call me Sebastian. Rotown is already our territory of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. If you continue to enter, I will be your enemy. Sebastian's tone was indifferent, but he spoke seriously. But his height is only about 2 meters. Compared to Jack, it's much worse. This kind of words coupled with an indifferent tone, said like this, it actually feels like arrogance. Ha 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 ha. Old man, can you bear it? You're blocking me? Are you blocking me with these broken skeletons? Jack suddenly laughed. Hey, I was underestimated. Sebastian sighed lightly and shook his head. But instead of getting angry, he was ready for war. Then, let's start. As soon as Sabers finished speaking, the skeletons behind him instantly surged. The Death Knight leads the charge. But how many people are there on Jack's side? It looked like there were no more than 100 people. There were hundreds of Death Knights on the opposite side, and those low-level skeletons. There are at least 1,000 people. But is our reckless Jack a coward? No fear at all, because he knew that Kaido was also on his way. The boss is coming soon. He is a coward. You guys, fight with me. Jack rushed to the front. He pulled out 2 scythe-shaped weapons called shottel knives. Without saying a word, he just started fighting those Death Knights. But how could the younger brother behind him be so fierce? Just like that, they were swept away by those skeletons. Captain Jack, help. Why can't you chop? Those Death Knights beat them like chopping vegetables. Even low-level undead skeletons can still compete with them 50-50. Chapter 157. A little stronger than you. After a fierce battle, the result is naturally obvious. There were corpses of members of the Beast Pirates all around. Drought Jack was also scarred because he was outnumbered, but there was still a steady stream of Death Knights attacking. Although he can be tough, because of his excellent physical fitness, he still fought back and forth in the beginning. But it is still difficult for 2 fists to defeat 4 hands. In fact, he originally wanted to transform into a mammoth. But when he saw those dense enemies later, he realized that he absolutely couldn't transform. In that case, it would be too big and would only be injured more easily. Become the target of public criticism. It seems that your excellency is not very well. Sebastian waved his hand slightly. Let the Death Knight stand down. Jack lay down on the ground with scars all over his body. Ha ha. He gasped for air. Arsehole. Until now. He also gritted his teeth and did not forget to curse. In fact, under normal circumstances, with his endurance, he can fight for 5 or 6 days. But there were too many injuries on his body. It was difficult for him to hold on. Sebastian walked up to him, bent down and strangled his neck. Picked it up, and Jack seemed to feel the force on his neck. His eyes widened. Even his heartbeat became faster. He held a machete in his hand, raised it up, and wanted to slash Sebastian. I'm so sorry, let you end your pain as soon as possible. Sebastian looked at him indifferently. In fact, this is already Sebastian's kindness. In the Great Tomb of Nazarick, quickly killing the enemy was the most merciful thing to do. The next second, Jack's eyes widened, and he felt the terrifying strength on his neck. He couldn't believe it. The old man in front of him actually had such terrifying grip strength. Creak. Only the sound of bones being broken was heard. He lost consciousness when the scimitar in his hand fell down. Wah, because his heart accelerated before he died. His blood circulated rapidly, and blood burst out from the wounds all over his body. The blood splashed onto Sebastian's body and the nearby ice. As for why he could easily break Jack's neck, if Jack's race is a fisherman, Sebastian's race is a dragonman, and he also specializes in physical arts. His own physique is many times stronger than that of a fisherman. This is why he is called Iron Butler Sebastian. Clang. Sebastian let go of his neck. Jack's huge body fell directly onto the ice. Eyes rolled. I'm so sorry. You are indeed much stronger than those weak humans. But I am still a little stronger than you. Sebastian finished speaking calmly, turned to the Death Knights and continued. Then come down and ask you to chop off the heads of these corpses and hang them on their boats. If people come again, then just make a simple demonstration. After hearing Sebastian's order, the Death Knights took action the next second. One by one, they began to cut off human heads. Sebastian walked back to the Great Tomb of Nazarick. At this moment, Rot Town is full of vampires, demons, and undead patrolling. The streets are like this now. There is no one alive in Rot Town. At the same time, not far away, Luffy and others on the Merry saw this scene. Luffy, change the direction. The big man was actually defeated. That old man seems to be very powerful, Usopp kept saying. My whole body couldn't help but tremble. Why do we always encounter such strong men along the way? Hey. And those skeleton soldiers, what are they? Johnny's scalp was also numb. Luffy, so, let's find another way. The food on the ship is barely enough now, Sanji said calmly. He held a cigarette in his mouth and exhaled. His face also looked helpless. After all, that old man was clearly less than 2 meters tall. But he could easily strangle an 8-meter strong man to death. It's not simple no matter how you look at it. No, there's nothing to escape. At worst, go up and beat him away. If you can't beat him, just run away. How can I become the Pirate King? I've already staked my life on it, Luffy said. His face looked unhappy. To become the Pirate King, you must defeat these strong men. This is inevitable. Since the captain has spoken, let's go up and have a look. Zora also spoke. After all, he thought the same thing as Luffy. If he doesn't defeat all those swordsmen, he won't be able to become the world's greatest swordsman. Several days have passed, and the injuries on his body have already healed to some extent. His recovery power is also extremely fast. Do you really want to go? It's over. I have a disease that will kill me if I go to the island. Usopp covered his chest. Get up pretending to feel uncomfortable. He really didn't dare to go up. Then let's go. Brother Usopp, there are only a few skeletons left anyway. They shouldn't be very powerful. Joseph began to deceive himself. Usopp directly hugged Joseph's neck. Then he pulled him and hid in a corner. Didn't you see? There just now. Those skeletons in black armor chopped down that big guy alive. We're definitely no match, Usopp whispered. But Joseph wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by Usopp. No problem, just listen to me. Usopp turned around and said, then you go, Joseph, and I will guard the ship here. After all, someone has to watch the ship, right? Thorpe looked serious, and Luffy didn't refuse. After all, he wouldn't think so much. Okay, Usopp, stay here to guard the ship. Zora, Sanji, Johnny, let's go. Maybe Nami is on this island, Luffy said seriously, and the three of them naturally did not refuse. Although Johnny was a little scared, it didn't matter. After all, here's Johnny the Swordmaster. Okay. Navy headquarters. What? Kaido's troops are heading towards Rotown? Are you sure the information is correct? Okay. You continue to observe. Sengoku covered his head and turned on the phone. Goodbye. Now he really has a headache. The situation in Rotown had not yet been solved, and Kaido also came out. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Garp chewed Senpai on the side. Sengoku, who doesn't care about troubles, but it made warring states even more irritable. Garp, Kaido seems to be heading towards Rot Town. Every move of the four emperors may pose a threat to the world. Sengoku's eyes were serious. Ahaha, I heard that boy Kongzan seems to have a grudge against Kaido. I wonder if something interesting will happen. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Garp continued to eat the fairy. Don't care. Yeah, but if Rot Town is captured by Kaido, that would be very troublesome. According to the intelligence, Kongzan himself is not there now, but in Alabasta. Alabasta was also forcibly occupied. Alabasta has been forcibly forced out of the alliance. King Nefertiti Cobra just talked to me on the phone this morning. Warring states covered his head. It's really troublesome these days. There are so many things. I don't even know what to do. Crunch, 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 crunch. Okay. Garp just gnawed on the senpai and ignored him completely. Garp, Sengoku stood up angrily. walked forward and snatched Garp's senpai. "That's mine. Give it back to me," Garp said quickly. "It's so noisy." Zango said nothing and poured it all into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. "Eat them all, my senpai." Garp looked stunned. "Okay. We've finished eating the senpai. It's time to get down to business." Sengoku's expression became serious again. "TCH. It's not for me to eat," Garp whispered. "In short, a new force has appeared in Alabasta. It's called the Sound Ninja Village. They ruled Alabasta by themselves. Even the Shikibukai crocodile was driven out. Alabasta, the Dragon Slayer pirates, really do whatever they want." Sengoku shook his head helplessly. Chapter 158 Empty Island. Sand Ninja Village. Garp scratched his head. He thought for a while and continued, "I have never heard of this name. It is indeed very strange. There is also the existence of Kongzin itself, which is almost non-existent. There are no traces. We can't find his relatives or acquaintances. It's like appearing out of thin air. The earliest information should be that he and Kaido have a grudge. He ran away from Wano country. This is a report from the Navy who was observing Kaido's movements near Wano country." Sengoku looked serious and was thinking in his head. "Why are you thinking so much?" Garp waved his hand, and then continued, "Isn't there a guy named Demiurge in Rot Town? When Kaido meets him, maybe we will. Now we can know the opponent's strength. In this case, we will think of a way. There is so little information now, and it is useless to think about it." Garp looked indifferent. "What you said is not bad. There is indeed nothing wrong with it." Warring States nodded and murmured, "Anyway, if the opponent's strength is really too high, it is also the matter of the 5 old stars." Kongzan sighed. "Already on the Sky Island." And he headed straight towards Enelu. "That is Apayado, the island where the god lives, and is called the Sanctuary. It seems to be a piece of land washed up from Gaia Island due to a huge upwelling current. It is also the only place on Sky Island with soil." He didn't want to do anything fancy either. Just go up and do it. Then take the empty island into your bag. Anyway, just do it quickly. As a lazy cancer patient, he really just wants to find a place to fish. But several members of the group have conquered the world. I have to work harder myself. But we also need efficiency. "Brother Kongzin, is that there?" Yamato asked, looking at the forest not far away. "Yes, it looks like we're almost there." Kongzan walked forward. He looked outside and nodded lightly. Group chat. Mikasa, picture, Sky Island taken from the boat. Takagi Saya, exclamation mark. "Where is this? Heaven? Exclamation mark. Amazing. Tushan Hong Hong, what a beautiful scenery. Mano Shiho, really? Those clouds feel like you can step on them. And why is there a piece of land on it? Unscientific. Black Tower, solid cloud. There's a house up there. Interesting. Baixiofai, give it to me. Exclamation mark. Awesome. Exclamation mark. Gradually louder. Kanki Ken, there is such a place. Question mark. I have never encountered such solid clouds before when I flew into the sky. Whenever they encounter something strange, they will talk about it endlessly. Kongzan, look at you guys, don't you know a lot? Kongzan, let me give you some popular science. This is Kongdao. Kongzan, there are 2 types of natural clouds here. The ones we passed by boat were sea clouds. Kongzan, the clouds that float lightly and can walk freely are island clouds. Kongzan, these clouds have something to do with seafloor stone. The minerals of seafloor stone contain a kind of horny particles called electric molten fluid, which are transported into the air through volcanic eruptions. When it gets water, sea clouds and island clouds are formed because of their differences in density. Kanki Ken, I don't understand. Black Tower, what is Heilu stone? Gotching Saya, same question. Kongzan, Heilu stone. It's normal if you don't know. It is a specialty of my world. It is equivalent to the crystallization of the sea. Its composition is similar to that of the sea, so it can be said to be the solid form of the sea. Kongzan, is this understandable? Black Tower, can you understand? Aren't the horny particles of the electric melt fluid more detailed? I feel a little confused about this vocabulary. Kongzan, normal, the structure of the world is different. Kongzan, so the elements involved are also different. If you haven't heard of my stuff, it's probably not because you have insufficient knowledge or a blind spot in your knowledge, or it's just that your world simply doesn't have this thing. This is easy to understand. For example, in the previous world, there was a periodic table of chemical elements, such as hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, etc. But this world may not have these elements, and their properties will be completely different. It is precisely because of this different composition of elements that a world with superpowers exists, such as those devil fruits. For normal people, it's almost like a superpower. After all, they are all kinds of strange abilities. But as long as the elements are parsed out and constructed, anyone can have it. It's just that it contains rare elements or special element reactions and characteristics that are unimaginable to normal people. Once you understand the principles and become familiar with these elements, even if it feels outrageous at first, you will later feel that it is just normal. Black Tower, that's what you said. If the world and its elements were the same, then it would really be meaningless. Black Tower, The unknown elements and world make people more curious. Sire Takagi, I can understand a little bit more. Kong-san, yeah, just understand. Kong-san, are you the only one who understands? What about others? Manoshiho, I can also understand. It should be Baixiofai. It means that the world and the elements of the world are different, right? Although I don't know the principle, I can probably understand it. Kanki-ken, no wonder there are ghouls here, and then there are zombie brothers on Brother's side, and there are various demi-humans on Brother no Fumi's side. Kanki-ken, there should be reasons for the different elements. The reason why caused it. Boss Kong-san is extraordinary. He actually knows so many things. Black Tower, I'm curious, how do you know this? Black Tower was a little confused. After all, how could the other party know such an unconstrained thing? Kong-san, secret. Kong-san chuckled lightly. Although there is no specific verification of this kind of thing, he feels that he is inseparable from it all the way. Among the various elements, Kong-san even felt that there was a kind of planning from superiors and subordinates. For example, the law of destruction is the highest level and can destroy everything in the dimension. Its scope basically covers everything, as if it has the highest destruction authority in the universe. Extremely bizarre. The law of creation and the law of space are also the highest authority. These three are the highest. Cannot be used with each other. How should I put it? They have equal authority. Things created by the law of creation cannot be destroyed by the law of destruction, but things created by the law of non-creation can be destroyed. What is destroyed by the law of destruction cannot be restored through the law of creation, but an identical thing can be created. That is, people at the same level cannot interfere with each other. It's just a case of being at the same level. If we talk about a top level and a senior level, it goes without saying that the top level has higher authority. This is also a matter of course. In all elements, while changing characteristics, there is actually this kind of differentiation between superior and inferior, and because of its characteristics, small elements are also undergoing changes at any time, which will make everything chaotic. So ordinary people can't notice it. Brother Kong-san, we're here. Yari next to Yamato also shouted. Kong-san looked down again and saw a place surrounded by white walls. There is a small house in the middle with a big word written on it. It's as if the other person is afraid that he doesn't know that he is a god. Isn't that where Enelu lives? Chapter 159. Teasing. Enelu parked the sunshine in the air nearby. Kong-san turned to look at Yari. Let the second division and me disembark from the ship this time, he said. After all, I haven't seen the current power of the second team. It's our turn. Put it on us. Yari puffed up her chest and said confidently. Below, a man with long earlobes, a white turban, and a bare upper body was lying on a bench. This person is Enelu, who is called God. His heart network has long been aware of the other party, and it's always coming in your own direction, so you don't have to look for the other side. Aha. Yeah, ha ha ha. I want to see what they want to do. Enelu yawned, holding a purple grape in his hand, and chuckled. Then put the grapes into your mouth and feel the sweet taste of the grapes. Yeah, ha ha ha. This grape is not bad. As he said that, Enelu stretched out his arm, inserted his little finger into his ear and gently turned and scratched it. Take out the earwax and flick it out. Then he reached for another apple. But at this moment, Kong-san and others had jumped from the boat. Kong-san walked in the front, with the second team behind him, followed closely by Yari, Maginot, Area, Esteeth, Seiyu, and Hinata. It's really awesome. That boat is like my Arkansas. Enelu stood up. He looked at the visitor. If I had that ship, wouldn't it be more possible to go to the moon? Enelu, don't talk nonsense. Today I want to sit on your throne. How about it? Kong-san grinned lightly. Ha ha, how arrogant. I thought that the other party came here to show his goodwill, but I didn't expect that such a sentence came directly. I can't fix it directly for Enelu. It's so presumptuous. Enelu shouted angrily. Immediately afterwards, thunder and lightning were all around him. Thunderfruit. Kong-san turned his head slightly, looked at the women behind him, and asked, would any of you want to go? This sentence directly made Enelu grit his teeth angrily. Unexpectedly, the other party did not dare to challenge him to a duel. Are you asking these subordinates? ? How much do you underestimate yourself, arsehole? Enelu looked unhappy and stretched out his hand directly. Bang! He hit the taiko drum behind him. Terrifying thunder and lightning appeared from the drum. 30 million volts. Thunderbird. Enelu shouted angrily. Whoa! A blue thunderbird formed by thunder and lightning flew towards Kong-san at great speed in an instant. Extremely fast. A surprise attack? You underestimate us. Yari frowned. Return to heaven. Hyuga Hinata appeared in front of Kong-san instantly. Keishin directly blocked the thunderbird like a shield. Looking for death, Esteeth pulled out the western sword from his waist. A terrifying cold air burst out from his body. Wah! The western sword pierced into Enelu's chest. How is that possible? Enelu's eyes widened. A little unbelievable that the other party actually hurt him. Because he usually has elemental form, no one should be able to hurt him. Enelu's shock was not over yet. Bang! Esteeth swung his leg and kicked Enelu in the face. Enelu was kicked several meters away. While in the air, he just hit the taiko drums on both sides. 60 million volts. Thunder dragon. He reluctantly drank. I saw a huge thunder dragon formed in the drum and leapt towards his teeth with a swish. At this time, thunder and lightning made a sizzle sound. Shwa, bang. Maginot rushed over directly. Knock the thunder dragon away with one punch. Shave. She appeared in front of Enelu instantly. The black military color is attached to the hand. Point the gun. She thought silently in her mind. Enelu in front of him was also a little frightened at this moment. Because of Esteth's kick, he is still flying. The other party is actually so fast! Exclamation mark. The next second, Maginot's fingers were like guns, opening several holes in Enelu's chest. Ugh! He shouted angrily because of the severe pain. Immediately afterwards, bang! Area appeared behind him and directly blocked Enelu, who was flying backwards, with one hand. Her whole body instantly grew larger, and an axe appeared in her hand. 5 fingers dug into Enelu's back. Blood flowed out from his fingers. Ugh! The severe pain made Enelu scream. Drink! Area threw him to the ground. Bang! Then, Area picked up the magical axe Ritu and hit it. Enelu sees this. Quickly rolled to the side. Boom! A terrifying crack was made on the ground, and the trace spread directly to hundreds of meters. All this happens in less than 20 seconds. First, he was stabbed by Esteth's western sword and kicked away. Then Maginot's finger gun opened several holes in his chest. In the end, 5 holes were made on his back by Area's 5 fingers, and there were also palm prints. A little more force and the piece of flesh would be dug out. These things are really just for a moment. Enelu stood up with difficulty, the blood flowing out of the blood hole in his chest. He covered the wound on his chest with his hand. It seems that I underestimated you. You can actually touch me and hurt me. Then, let's try this trick. 20 million volts. Thor. Enelu's voice just finished. Terrifying and violent thunder and lightning emitted from around his body. But at this moment, wah! A flying knife flew out of nowhere. The white scarf on Enelu's head flew away. Underneath the Enelu turban. It's actually an afro. It's that kind of auntie's version of an afro. PFFT. It's actually true. Ha 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 ha. Kong Zhan couldn't help laughing. The flying knife just now was naturally thrown by him. Because he had heard rumors before that Enelu had an afro under his turban, so he wanted to see it. But he didn't expect it to be true. Arsehole. You actually laughed at me. Enelu couldn't bear it anymore, and terrifying thunder and lightning spread all over his body. His body suddenly became much larger, probably about the same age as Kaido, about 7 or 8 meters tall. His whole body also turned into thunder and lightning. This kind of aura is so terrifying. Of course, it is only terrifying to ordinary people. Let me do it. Shu's eyes were cold and she drew out the sword from her waist. Instantly, her whole body was filled with armed domineering energy. That's right, the whole body. Her armed color domineering can already cover her whole body. In this case, it is like wearing a layer of armor all over the body. There is no weakness at all. It is also the biggest nightmare for the natural system. How dare you underestimate me? After Enelu saw that he had used his ultimate move. But Kong Zhan didn't even take action. The anger in his heart became even more intense. Go to hell. Chapter 160 Angel Civilization. Go to hell. The terrifying power of thunder emerged from Enelu's hand. Wah! With a sizzling sound of thunder and lightning, it shot directly towards Kong Zhan. Didn't I say, let me do it? Arsehole. Shu appeared in front of Kong Zhan in an instant and blocked the blow. Wow! The power of thunder was easily cut off. Weak. What qualifications do you have to attack Lord Kong Zhan? And you are not worthy of being called a god. The only person in this world who deserves to be called a god is Lord Kong Zhan. That's the only one. Shay waved her hand casually. A black-red sword energy flew forward directly. But this sword energy was not aimed at Enelu. Instead, he slashed at a word on the house behind Enelu. The word God. Boom. The word God on the house turned into pieces in the next second. Ugh, you bastard. Enelu exploded when he saw this. The shape of the thunder power is like a trident. He threw it directly towards Seiyu. The restless power of thunder struck again. And what about Seiyu? One man and one sword, no panic at all. Wow. He waved again. Simply neutralized its attack. It's like this again. How is that possible? Seeing the other party looking so relaxed, Enelu couldn't hold himself any longer. Why can my ability be easily resolved? How is this possible? God, I want to see if the guy who claims to be a god can take my sword. Shay pointed the sword at Enelu and shouted angrily. Enelu also looked at the other party very nervously. The next second, she disappeared instantly. Enelu didn't react at all, but he subconsciously blocked it with his hands. Wah! Shu used a simple downward slash. A sword. Enelu was directly knocked back to his original shape. There was a hideous wound on his chest. The hands in front of him have disintegrated from his body. It fell to the ground with a snap sound. Blood gushes out directly from the wound. Blood also flowed from the corners of his mouth. This sword not only cut his skin, but also caused some damage to his ribs and internal organs. He held on for a few seconds and then collapsed with a bang. Easy. Shu shook off the blood on the sword, then habitually insert the sword into the scabbard. One thing to say, Enelu, who only knows the heart network, is really not good enough. In front of her, he's really weak. Why can such a guy be called a god? Is he ignorant? Kong Zhan shook his head slightly, with a look of helplessness on his face. Then I also watched the fight show. It's time to get down to business. Zhan waved his hand slightly. Enelu's body was instantly annihilated by a black energy. It's boring. Let me become a real god next. And as a god, of course there must be angels. Zhan chuckled, talking to himself. Angel? Brother Zhan, are you going to summon an angel this time? The Sand Ninja Village was powerful enough last time. Hiyari's eyes were full of curiosity and shock. When the girls heard Hiyari's guess, they all looked over. Haha, as expected of you, Hiyari. You guessed it right. Zhan was stunned for a moment, then laughed again. I didn't expect Hiyari to be so smart. As expected of the little princess of Hiyari. Zhan sighed inwardly. Then, just summon it. Angel civilization. Zhan finished his words. I saw ripples in the space. Strong spatial fluctuations appeared in front of him. Headed by Keisha, thousands of angels suddenly came here through space. And at first glance, they are all female angels. Their clothes are all uniform, with a pair of white wings on their backs, and most of them have golden hair. Everyone's skin is white and flawless, and looks extremely young. It is indeed very tempting. They flew towards Zhan. He fell to the ground and walked over quickly. King of Angels, Keshaw. Bring all the angels to see the leader. Keshaw quickly knelt down. The same goes for the angels behind him. They all knelt down together. The scene was very spectacular. Apocalypse King, Holy Left Wing Guard, Liang Bing has met the leader. Liang Bing on the side also spoke. King Danchi, the right wing guard of the Holy God, Hizai has met the leader. Hizai also spoke. I've seen the leader. Tens of thousands of angels shouted in unison. The voice was very loud. Meanwhile, nearly all of Apiado is undergoing change. Various castles emerged from the ground. This is also the house where the angels originally lived. It's pretty good. There are quite a lot of people here. Zhan touched his chin and sighed. And angels are angels. Tens of thousands of angels, each with fair skin, beauty and long legs. TSK. Incredible. It's really amazing. Wow. Did they fly here just now? Yamato looked surprised. My eyes were dumbfounded. She actually has wings. She really is an angel. How awesome. As expected of the master. Arya covered her mouth with surprise on her face. After all, Master Zhan is a god. It seems normal to have angels around. She thought silently. Oh ho, what a powerful man. I've never seen your limit before. Esteith was also extremely excited inside. The other party is really too powerful. She has been here for more than 10 years. But she had never seen Zhan's full power. Not once. It seems that no one on the ship has seen Zhan's full power. Big brother is really getting more and more powerful. Makino also sighed silently. His eyes were sparkling. Brother Zhan is so awesome as ever. Hinata was also shocked in her heart. But the ability to accept it is pretty fast. But she was more curious about who these angels were. Zhan looked at the girls for a moment. Everyone, get up, he said. All the angels also stood up one after another. The surroundings have also changed a lot at this moment. The landscape basically turned into an extremely sacred angel castle. The angels in front of us are also produced by the system through the power of the source, which will be different from the original work. He will only recognize himself as Lord. I would definitely not let them experience the tragic events in the original work again. Damn Hui. He actually raped such a pure king of angels. When I had the chance, I killed him and vented my anger. After all, these things have already happened or are happening in some parallel universes. But I am unable to change all the worlds. The current law of destruction. It seems that erasing the power of existence can also be done. It's just that the power of Hui's existence in all parallel universes cannot be erased at once. Forget it. Let's wait until the upgrade comes. Suddenly, Zhan saw a familiar girl. His eyes lit up and he walked forward. Everyone's eyes were on Zhan. But he walked directly in front of a young angel. The angel looked at Zhan in front of him. Still a little dazed. He looked around erratically. Then he pointed at himself. I? Chapter 161 Guardian Angel. Me? The angel who spoke pointed at himself, with some doubts in his tone. She has long straight blonde hair and is very beautiful. At this time, her eyes still looked very childish. Angel Yan, right? Zhan asked. That. Leader, do you know me? Angel Yan felt an inexplicable nervousness in his heart. Face the man in front of you. For some reason, she felt a sense of oppression. Keshaw? How about letting her go with me? Zhan didn't turn his head, but stared straight at Yan. While speaking, he reached out his hand and smoothed her golden hair. Me? Why? Yan was a little surprised, and then blushed. But feeling a little doubtful in her heart, she still asked. I need an angel as a representative of God. Zhan answered her question. This God naturally refers to himself. After all, as a god, without angels around me, I always feel like something is missing. No problem. From now on, Yan will follow the leader. Keshaw agreed readily. The angels around him showed envious looks. After all, they are both angels, but Yan was chosen by Zhan, which naturally makes people jealous. After all, to them, Zhan is a real god. And no matter how strong Keshaw is, she is only an angel. Staying with God. That level is completely raised to a new level. Okay, Yan agreed excitedly. But she was still suppressing the joy in her heart. Although it was indeed a bit sad to leave Keshaw, she still felt that she would be more happy. Keshaw, the air islands in this area will be under your control from now on. It should be fine, right? Kongzan looked at her and asked. Of course, no problem. Now that the leader has spoken, we will plan the control rules immediately. Keshaw nodded lightly, very naturally. Okay, then. This area will be your territory from now on. If there are intruders, be sure to kill them. I will stay here for some time before leaving. Kongzan finished speaking and grabbed Yan's hand. Then he walked directly towards Yamato and the others. Yan felt the temperature on his hands. There is an indescribable feeling in my heart. Let's go back to the ship first. Kongzan looked at Hyori and said, yeah, there's another angel on the boat. Hyori laughed. The girls also nodded in understanding. On board the Sunshine, let me briefly introduce it to you. Then let it drink the blood. However, Yan did not join any squad, but served as his guardian angel, always by his side. But this explanation obviously made the crew a little jealous. Damn, I'm so envious. Mikasa looked at Yan next to Kongzan and murmured softly. She is really envious. If possible, she would rather take that position and let Yan be the captain of the 3rd Division. But it's obviously not possible. After all, she has been working in the 3rd Division for more than 10 years. And I am not an angel, so how can I become a guardian angel? Mikasa felt very bitter inside. The same goes for The two of them had the best feelings for Kongzan on the ship. The main reason is that I have a strong ability to be jealous. After a while, and Kongzan had almost finished talking about the matter. Okay, that's all. Next, I'll let you go out for a walk. We'll park the boat here for now. Kongzan narrowed his eyes and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He chuckled at them. Wow, want to go to Sky Island? I want to go to the city above the clouds I saw before. It's so interesting. Yamato shouted directly. A look of anticipation. Then let's go see what delicious food there is on the empty island. Shitong was obviously hungry. My mouth is watering. You say something, and I say something. They also gradually became noisy. Kongzan, on the other hand, was also sitting aside. Yan is standing next to Kongzan because she didn't know what to do at this time. Chief, why me? Yan asked curiously, because she didn't even understand why Kongzan chose her. But she still respected Kongzan in her heart. Don't dare to speak too casually. Instead, I felt a little nervous. Because Kongzan looked at Yan beside him, and his voice was slightly longer. Yan swallowed nervously. You look good. Kongzan narrowed his eyes and said, good looking? Is it that simple? Yan was a little stunned. Then, he looked at the armor on Yan's body, touched his chin, and said again, let's go back and change into casual clothes. That style should look good on you. After that, he looked at the scenery outside the ship again. At this time, the place has changed a lot. The places with land are basically Western-style castles. It feels noble and elegant. Yan's CPU was about to burn out, and she felt that it was absolutely impossible for Kongzan to let her become his guardian angel for such a simple reason. Moreover, Kongzan clearly knew that he was so much stronger, so she didn't understand why he chose her to be the guardian angel. Chief. I'm very weak. I can't help you with anything. Yan suddenly said and lowered his head. Standing in front of such a strong man, what confidence does she have? How come? Come on. Kongzan patted the seat next to him. He motioned for her to sit over, and Yan naturally understood what he meant. He sat next to Kongzan. Kongzan stretched out his hand, placed it on her head, and rubbed it gently. Yan, maybe there are some things you don't know, but, as long as you still have them. Kongzan paused, looked at the girls, and then continued, as long as you stay with me that is the biggest dream for me. His tone was full of tenderness. Dream? I don't know. Yan was a little dull. In Kongzan's deep eyes, she seemed to feel that the man in front of her seemed to have something to do with them, including herself. But how could it be possible? In my own memory, I have never seen Kongzan in the past. But she knew that Kongzan was her leader, a unique leader, more than the king of angels. Keshaw, we need to listen to Kongzan, because he is the god of all angels. And I have never seen Kongzan, but in my memory, I have always been instilled with the idea that Kongzan is a god. In the past, he was also known to everyone in the city of angels. According to Queen Keshaw, Chief Kongzan is the hero who saves all our angels and is our only god. And this time, he was summoned. Why do you think so much? Now, just enjoy life with me. Kongzan shook his head with a chuckle. He looked at Yan. To be honest, Yan's appearance is indeed the best among angels. Top-notch looks, nothing to say. And the skin of angels is very good, white and tender. Kongzan couldn't help but feel, Yan, your skin is really good. Do you have it? Yan touched his cheek. She also noticed that Kongzan had been looking at her, and she became a little shy. Do you still remember the oath of the guardian angel? Kongzan narrowed his eyes and chuckled. As the guardian angel of God. It's a bit weird to say this oath. Yan paused and spoke. It's okay, just tell me. I like to hear it. Kongzan narrowed his eyes and chuckled. Then okay. Chapter 162 Long Yu. I want to be his guardian angel. Love what he loves, think what he thinks, bear his pain and go through the suffering. No matter poor or rich, no matter humble or noble, no matter in troubled times, or God no matter what. I am willing to draw my sword and fight for him, and fold my wings for him. I will never leave him, until forever. Yan put his hand on his chest. I don't know why, but when I said these words, my heart beat very fast. Very fast. When she finished speaking, Zhan cupped her cheek and kissed her directly. Yan's eyes instantly widened in shock. After a few seconds, the lips parted. In this way, the oath will be considered perfect. Zhan's face was extremely bright. Angel tastes really good. Chief. Yan suddenly didn't know what to say. His face turned even redder. You blush so easily. Yan. In my impression, you should be more cool and flirtatious, and the kind that's really good at it. Still the cool and flirtatious kind. Where is the beautiful angel? Zhan touched his chin and spoke. But now, Yan became even more curious, and Yan was even more certain in his heart that he must know Zhan. But why no memory at all? Could it be that someone tampered with it? The other party obviously knows me very well, but I don't know anything about this god. It's so distressing. What's your impression, Chief? Have we met before? Yan asked curiously. There was a hint of expectation in his eyes. It seems like I said too much. Pretend you didn't hear me. Zhan waved his hand. He looked at the angels below. Now it seems that these female angels are also busy. It seems that Enelu has several subordinates. It should be okay to let them solve it. Many teams on the ship also went down. After all, Sky Island is indeed very attractive. None of them have seen it. Now the only ones left on the ship are the second squadron. After all, I just went down there and planned to take a rest first. Now the soles of the feet here are soil. They will go to the island cloud to see later, that is, the island with solid clouds under their feet. Pretend you didn't hear it. Yan was speechless. How could you pretend you didn't hear something like this? By the way, Yan, can you massage? Zhan looked at Yan and asked. Massage. You can try it. Yan nodded lightly, and then continued to ask. Is there anything that the leader needs to press? Thigh. Help me press it. Zhan raised his eyebrows. Thighs. Okay. Yan moved closer to Zhan. She stretched out her jade hands and placed them on Zhan's thighs. Her eyes were serious and she seemed a little nervous. Then she began to knead. Zhan looked at the person beside him. Yan couldn't help but rub her hair. But to be honest, it was quite comfortable. Zhan relaxed and sat here. He closed his eyes for a while. He looked at the group chat. Group chat. Kanki Ken, this corpse king is called Ryu, right? The feeling is just average, and the recovery speed is indeed a bit strong. Kanki Ken, but it only happened a few times. Izumi Shinichi, have you encountered it? Iwatani no Fumi, yes, I feel bad. No Fumi Iwatani, it would be great if I could bring my army of slaves here. It's so troublesome to clean up these zombies now. Baixiofai, brother Kanki is so cool, even though they are fighting I couldn't see clearly at that time. Baixiofai, anyway, brother Jinmu quickly defeated the corpse king dragon. Izumi Shinichi, congratulations. Baixiofai, we still have to clean up other corpse brothers. Baixiofai, it's a big project. Iwatani no Fumi. The crisis needs to be resolved, but now with the help of the country, it should be. It can be completed in less than a few months. Zhan, that's pretty quick. Well, Zhan, in fact, just like me before, if you take the person away, it will relieve his crisis. Baixiofai, no, I still want to find Xiaoai. Jin Muan, that's true, but boss, don't be in a hurry just yet. I also want to study the structure of this world. No Fumi Iwatani, there's nothing wrong with staying in a modern city for a few months. Let's see if we can bring something back with us. Zhan, then it's up to you. It seems that they all want to stay in other worlds for a while. When you go to other worlds, you don't care about your own world, right? Good guys, I'm just a good guy. I have the same demeanor as I did back then. Zhan, at home after I summoned the great tomb of Nazarick. How are you doing there? Mano Shiho, don't worry, my book is still very stable. Mano Shiho, after all it has been established for more than 10 years, and I still have my own army. Mano Shiho, the great tomb of Nazarick is originally your army, and I can't always ask you, boss, to help me. Zhan, oh, are you quite ambitious? Zhan smiled slightly. Mano Shiho, I hope I can gain strength to help you, the boss. Mano Shiho, after all, it was you who allowed me to see my sister again. Mano Shiho, Akemi, Shiho. Mano Akemi naturally understands. She feels that she is still alive today because of Sora, and Shiho has also paid a lot. It makes her feel bad. After all, she is her sister. Sora-san, I don't really need your help. You are still too weak now. Zhan, become stronger. In this case, you will be able to help me one day. Mano Shiho, yes, I will. Gotching sire, me too. I will always be able to help boss Zhan one day. Zhan, haha, I'll wait. Tushan Hong Hong, after Yaya came out of seclusion, she kept pestering me. Zhan, sister control is also very good, and I also like Lily very much. Kanki Ken, question mark. Iwatani no Fumi, question mark. Baixiofai, Liu, you are worthy of being the leader of the group. Tushan Hong Hong, sister control? Lily, what is sister control? At this moment, Tushan Hong Hong really didn't know anything about it, and her face was full of questions. Bujamaseko, at Zhan, don't bring up bad children. Mikasa: 9494. Kong-zan, ha ha ha. Kong-zan said. After 15 years of precipitation, some of his true nature has been exposed. I used to be a veteran penguin driver. Let's just reach out and get a copy of the dirty pictures. Butterfly Ninja, wow, there is still sea on the island. Cloud. Butterfly Ninja, picture, white sea clouds. Kong-zan, this is the sea cloud. There should be fish in it. You can fish for it. Butterfly Ninja, hey, really? At this time, Butterfly Ninja, who was by the sea clouds, took out his fishing rod without saying anything. Then he shouted to Kani, who was not far away. Sister, brother Kongzan said there are fish here, let's fish. Chapter 163. Priest meets Angel. Hey, are there any fish in this cloud? Kani was surprised. Let's give it a try. Brother Kongzan said yes. Shinobi looked forward to it and handed the fishing rod to Kani. Did Brother Kongzan say that? Then let's try it. I don't know if it tastes good. Kani took the fishing rod. There is also some expectation in my heart. I don't know what the fish on the empty island are like. Shana on the side was looking at the strange fruits on the tree. Do you want to eat? Nezuko asked, looking at Jana next to her. Chanel didn't toss the coin, but nodded quickly. After years of brainwashing by Kongzan, she has long been able to think for herself. Okay, leave it to me. Nezuko looked at the cute Chanel, full of fighting spirit. Just wow, and jumped to the tree. Remove the fruit directly. It looks like a green pumpkin. Nezuko was a little curious, having never seen this fruit before. Shake it a little and tap it again. There was a gurgling sound inside, but it was still hollow. Is it drink? Nezuko thought for a moment, but he went down first. At this time, Dasuki also came over. What kind of fruit is this? Do you want me to open it for you? Dasuki asked naturally. As this period of time passed, she gradually integrated into the environment here. Okay. Nezuko didn't refuse, so he handed the fruit to Dasuki and reminded him, by the way, there should be something to drink in it. Is it drinkable? Said Dasuki. Took out a knife from his clothes. I chopped hard, but it couldn't be opened. So hard. Dasuki looked surprised. At this time, a girl with blonde hair and little wings on her back came over. There was also a small white cloud fox in her arms, with a harp on her back. Are you new from King High? Her name is Cornice and she is a resident of the island. Although it has small white wings, it is just a characteristic of the residents of Angel Island and does not have any special abilities. Do you want to drink this? Cornice looked at the three women and asked. It seems like the shell is very hard. Can you drive it? Dasuki asked. Okay, let me do it. Cornice did not refuse. She took the knife and fruit from Dasuki's hand. This kind of fruit is most fragile only at the top. Cornice explained. Then insert a knife into the top of the fruit and cut out a small circle. A straw was inserted into it. That's good. Who wants to drink? Cornice looked at the three of them. Her hairstyle is a bit strange, but the appearance is absolutely nothing to say. It's Kana who wants to drink. Nezuko replied with a smile. Shana looked at the fruit in Cornice's hand expectantly. Here. Cornice looked at Chanel's cute look. He couldn't help but smile and narrowed his eyes. So cute. Just when Chanel took over the fruit, suddenly, many people wearing uniforms came, all wearing white berets. That's you, right? I heard there are illegal immigrants. It seems they came in by flying boat. Strange. Where is the boat? The leader looked around strangely. No ship was seen. Ren and the others just glanced at him and ignored him. Hey, I'm talking about you. You have already committed the crime of illegal intrusion. 10 billion extras per person. 10,000 extras is equal to 1 billy. The 6 of you need pay 6 million billy. Did you hear that? The man in the white beret who took the lead shouted. Huh? I remember Brother Kongzan has solved this, God, right? These guys haven't had time to receive the notice? Shinobi raised his eyebrows and asked in a low voice to Kani beside him. Maybe. After all, it hasn't been long. Those angels summoned by Brother Kongzan are still cleaning up the remnants of late by Ado. Kani thought about it and felt the same way, then beat them away. Shinobi said and stood up. Be gentle. Kani didn't stop her, but she was gentle and said so. No problem. Shinobi put down the fishing rod in his hand, turned around and walked towards them, and Shana and the four of them also came over. Cornice felt a little nervous inside. 6 million? Are your lives worth 6 million? Shinobi frowned. At this time, the noise woke up Millie, who was sleeping next to her. Because this cloud island was too soft, she just slept on the spot. Extremely comfortable. Aha. Millie yawned. She rubbed her eyes, stood up and looked at the visitor. Fate? Shinobi, does he have an enemy? She ran to Shinobi's side. It's just some guys who can't figure out the situation. Shinobi said calmly. Huh? Our lives? Just King High people. The captain seemed to be gritting his teeth, and then continued to speak. Let me state in advance that our white berets are directly under the priest. Resist this, the troops will only add 1 level of guilt. Please pay attention. Millie looked confused and asked, Priest? What is that? Isn't there a guy who claims to be a god and has been beaten to death by the boss? Yes, still a discharger. Ren nodded lightly. What? You mean God? The beret captain's eyes gradually widened and he became stunned. Are they telling the truth? God was actually beaten to death. The boss they were talking about was... No, I had to ask the priest again, otherwise it would be terrible. You guys keep an eye on them here first. I'm going to lay by Ardo, the captain said, pretending to be serious. Yes, Captain McKinley. All the members of the White Berets shouted in unison, and the members naturally knew the seriousness of the matter. If the other party really kills gods, to be honest, it seems that they can't stop it. They suddenly break out in cold sweat, but they still carry out the order because they feel that such a thing is most likely impossible. I wish they were talking nonsense. After all, they are just a few women. After McKinley finished speaking, he turned around and left. These players were left behind. Forget it. Forget about them. Just don't disturb us. Shinobi sighed. Anyway, after the man named McKinley came back, they probably all knew about it. Just play with yourself. Ignore these troublesome guys. Lay by Ardo. All 4 priests have gathered together. They looked at the angels in the sky. Cold sweat breaks out from behind. God. What happened to him? How could this place become like this? Priest Knight of the Sky Shura looked at the surrounding environment in disbelief. Great changes from the past. Nearby are various tall castles and villas. Directly opposite, first it was Keisha, then Liangbing and Izai. Behind them are tens of thousands of angels. Chapter 164, Ringing the Golden Bell. Look at the many angels. The 4 priests broke into cold sweat. God? Which god do you mean? Kesha's tone was very arrogant. She is currently sitting on a huge cross throne, floating in the air. He looked down at the 4 priests in front of him. It's like looking at ants. Of course, God. Enelu, Shura continued. He is an uncle with a mustache and a long gun in his hand. The clothes on my body feel quite thick. Huh? Enelu, who is that? The current god. Only our leader, Zhan. Kesha raised her chin. She had no idea about the name Enelu. How is it possible? Zhan? I have never heard of this person. God. Enelu, where did he go? One of the 4 priests, Zhan, also had an expression on his face at this moment. Embarrassed, he murmured. He was visibly bald, wearing sunglasses and holding a machete, wearing sleeveless clothes. What? Zhan? We don't know each other at all. God's word. We only recognize Enelu. Shadley, one of the 4 priests, the great enlightenment of the forest, also said the same. He has a chubby body, glasses with orange lenses, and dark red hair. Yes. What? Kong? The one who spoke was the last of the 4 priests, Priest Nirvana Kong, guard Chief Jedas. He was very strong, but his words were not finished. Wah! A silver wing suddenly appeared. Cut it in half instantly. Blood bursts. He is 1.8 meters tall. Instantly broke into 2 small sections of 90 centimeters. Jedas. The 3 priests were surprised. The silver wing just now was extremely sharp. As for control. It's just a matter of Keshaw moving her fingers. And Keshaw has quite a few such silver wings. Speaking the leader's name unscrupulously in front of me. You are really looking for death. You 3. Do you want to say anything at the end? Keshaw's tone was very cold, looking at them indifferently. At this moment, these 3 priests were already sweating profusely. What should I do? Run away? Shadley asked nervously. Run. Keep the green hills here. Don't worry about running out of firewood. Shura whispered quickly. Okay, then. Run. Trailed off. The 3 of them immediately ran in 3 directions. Want to escape? Do you think there is still a chance? Keshaw just finished speaking. Several silver wings flew out. Swish, swish, swish. It's like chopping vegetables. Their bodies directly became broken. Ha ha ha. It's really interesting. No way. No way. These people really think they can run away, right? Looking at the scene of flesh, foam flying and limbs separated, Liang Bing said laughed loudly. Liang Bing, pay attention to your manners. His eye covered his face. She was a little speechless about Liang Bing's character. What are you paying attention to? I feel so happy when I see them stealing chickens and losing rice. Liang Bing burst out laughing. Liang Bing, Keshaw reminded again. Yes, yes, I understand. No more. Liang Bing was helpless. Because Keshaw's silver wings are on her neck. It made her scalp tingle. Really? The only one who can cure Liang Bing is Keshaw. In the grass on the side. McKinley saw this scene with stunned eyes. To kill the priest so easily. Could it be that God Enelu is really dead? Killed by them? It's over. Never mess with them. Seeing this, McKinley quickly turned around and ran away. Keshaw actually noticed it, but didn't pursue it. Aren't you going to chase me? I don't know when. On the huge tree trunk next to me, all members of the 4th Division of the Dragon Slayer Pirates arrived here. It was Chitong who spoke. Are you a subordinate of the leader? I seem to have seen you on that ship, although it was some distance away from the ship. Keshaw asked. I am the captain of the 4th Division of the Dragon Slayer Pirates under Brother Zhan, Kai Tong. I'm out hunting. Angel Queen, take care of me. Kai Tong smiled lightly. Pirate group? The leader's thoughts are really unpredictable, according to Keshaw's feeling. It's a god who wants to be a pirate. It's really hard for her to understand. Maybe it's because it's just too boring, so experience all kinds of life. That god. Keshaw started to think about it. Sister, there seems to be something over there. Black Eyes suddenly saw something running across the other side. Where? Queen of Angels, let's go first. Chitong said hurriedly. In the next second, he disappeared from the spot, and so did the rest of the people. Extremely fast. Keshaw. It seems like they are also very powerful. As expected of the leader's side. Seeing how quickly they left, his eyes sighed with emotion. The people around the leader will naturally not be weak. I hope Yan can learn more from the leader. Keshaw sighed a little. Yes, that girl is quite lucky. She was noticed by the leader right away. But she does have good looks, but it's a pity that she's not my material. TSK. Liang Bing also teased said. A perfect lily. Sandora. On top of the clouds at the top of the vines. The ancient golden bell stands here. This is the golden clock. Mikasa looked at the huge golden clock and exclaimed. Didn't you expect that there are historical texts here? It's really amazing. And what Roger left. Looking at those texts, Robin couldn't help but froze. Fortunately, I asked Xiao Ling in advance, otherwise it would be impossible to find a place like this. Chelsea sighed with emotion. At that time, they asked what was the most distinctive feature of Xiaolingkong Island. Xiao Ling answered this golden clock. Underneath the vines. It is the golden land. But a lot of the gold in the golden township has been moved away, and only the golden bell brought up by the vines has been spared. It was moved away by Enelu, probably to use it as materials for making the Arkansas. The clock is made entirely of gold. It's really amazing. Raftalia said as if she had never seen the world. After all, she thought it was worth a lot of money. When I was a slave, I could buy several of these. This kind of thing is really rare. Kia also narrowed her eyes happily. Sure enough, it's really fun to go out to sea by yourself, then knock it. What do you think? Sai Liu laughed and stretched out his fist. Then I'll leave it to you, Sai. At this moment, Mikasa was preparing to take photos and send them to the chat group. After all, it is such a rare thing. Naturally, I want Kong Zhan and the group members to see it. Leave it to me. Sai Liu looked confident and jumped directly in front of the golden bell. Then come on, the golden bell. Let me ring it. She raised her mouth. Clenched fists. Wow, one punch. Dong, dong, dot. The very long sound of the bell spread throughout Gaia Island. Just for a moment. It is indeed so long. You can even hear the bells ringing under the empty island. The sound of the bell spread in all directions. Chapter 165 Ark Proverbs This heavy bell has spread everywhere. You must know that the golden clock is the switch between war and peace. Ringing the bell this time also means that the war on Sky Island will end. Ushering in peace. Group chat. Mikasa, picture. Huge golden bell. Baixiofai, frog fun. Made of gold? It looks very valuable. Kanki Ken. Awesome. Although we have points and we are not short of money, it is also good as a decoration. Kong Zhan, where did this bell come from? It turns out it was you who rang it. Kong Zhan, are you all playing like this? Pay attention to safety and don't fall. Mikasa, hee, don't worry. Our strength will be fine. Kong Zhan also chuckled. It will indeed be fine. After all, even if they fell from the empty island, they would not die. Butterfly Ninja, so awesome. I'm still fishing. Butterfly Ninja, I just got annoyed by a group of guys with white hats. And then they all left inexplicably. It's really strange. But Butterfly Ninja could guess that the other party should have seen something when he went to Lake Piado, which frightened him. After all, looking at the panic expression of the other party, it is indeed more or less understandable. At this moment, Shinobu was still fishing leisurely. Next to her is Kani. It's just that they have one more person playing the harp not far away. Of course it's Cornish. At this time, Kirishimatuka from the 5th Division came over. Shinobu, our 5th team needs your help. Can you come over here? Dong Xiang walked to Shinobu's side. Looking for help from Shinobu. Kani beside Shinobu was a little strange. Put down the fishing rod in your hand. Well, we just found something. How about you come over and take a look together? Dong Xiang felt that it was a bit uncomfortable to come alone, so he invited them to come together. Kani and Shinobu stood up together. Okay, then all members of the 6th Division will come together. Kani nodded, then turned to look at the girls, and continued, everyone, assemble. The girls ran over immediately. Corners, who didn't understand the situation, also stopped playing the harp and walked over. See Cornish. Kani laughed. Corners, are you coming too? Kani invited. Can. Cornish was actually a little curious about what they were going to do. Isn't he a member of the 6th Division? Kirishimatuka was stunned for a moment. She plays the piano very well. Brother Kongzan will definitely like it. Don't worry, I'll guarantee it. Kani was very confident and guaranteed her. That's it. That's okay. You guys come with me. Dong Xiang didn't argue too much. After all, the captain of the opponent's 6th Division said so. Even if something goes wrong, it won't be your fault. That's all. Kani led the girls and followed Kirishimatuka. In a cave. The Ark Proverbs, which is about 10 meters high, is parked here. It's so big. What is this? Shinobu looked at the huge ark and couldn't help but marvel. Is this what you discovered? It's really amazing. Brother Kongzan should be very happy. Kani also looked at it with interest. That must be gold up there. A lot of it. Dasky looked very surprised. How luxurious it would be to build a ship out of gold. At this time, several figures emerged from the boat and looked towards them. Tuka, have you brought Shinobu with you? Come here quickly. The figures were from the 6th Division. Takatsuki Izumi stood in the middle and called to them and waved. Sister, let's go up quickly, Shinobu shouted out of curiosity. Okay. Kani also nodded lightly. That's all. Several people quickly went up. Ark Proverbs 1. Here you go, Shinobi. Kani, lend it to your sister. Hee. Takatsuki Izumi smiled. So what happened? What do I need to do? Kani felt a little strange. Sit on that throne, face the 2 golden balls, and then discharge. This ship may be able to fly. Takatsuki Izumi looked at the golden seat not far away. He spoke out. After all, she knew that Shinobu had the power of lightning. In front of that golden seat, it is the golden sphere connected to the energy source on the opposite side of the ship. As for this power, Ninja had it more than 10 years ago. No side effects. The power of thunder fruit. That's it. Let me try. Shinobu was also very interested in this. He sat directly on the golden throne. Place your hands on the golden balls on the left and right sides. Zizizi. Thunder and lightning thundered. Introduce the energy area of Ark Proverbs through the golden ball. Mylan Talent quickly looked down. It's moving. It's really moving, she shouted with surprise. Sure enough, what I expected was right. This ship was made by the so-called god. I heard that guy's ability also uses electricity, so I wanted to let Shinobu try it. Now it seems that it is indeed the case. Takatsuki Quinn nodded with satisfaction. The same ability as a god. He actually started this ship. That's amazing. Cornice was shocked, and then she suddenly asked, so, God, really were you killed? She had heard Shinobu say it before, and it was still hard to imagine at the time. But this time God was mentioned again. Cornice was extremely shocked. Was this ship made by God? Indeed. Only God can create such a thing. Oh, you mean the god? The god with long earlobes was indeed killed by Brother Kongzan. But our Brother Kongzan will replace him and become the new god. Kani narrowed her eyes and smiled. And just then, new god. By the way, the legendary golden bell seems to have been rung. What happened? Did you do it too? Cornice asked. I discovered it while playing the harp. That kind of bell is almost certainly the legendary golden bell. After Shinobu started the boat, he also stood up and walked to Kani. If it was the bell ringing just now, it was indeed caused by our companions. Shinobi suddenly spoke. Huh? Is that so? Kani asked. After all, she didn't even know about it. It's Mikasa and the others. They found the golden bell. Shinobi, who had a group chat, also said it bluntly. Is that so? Sure enough, Mikasa is really amazing. Kani couldn't help but sigh. Not sure how Shinobu knew. Ark Proverbs was already flying at this time. By the way, where are you going now? I can control the direction. Shinobi suddenly asked everyone. Oops, let's go back to the place called Lake Bayado. Consider this ship a gift to the boss. Izumi Takatsuki said with a smile. Oh, what a great idea. Chapter 166 Python. Lake Bayado. Lenai pulls a huge blue boa constrictor. It looked like it was dozens of meters long. Already passed out. Her fingers were inserted directly into the python's flesh and blood and pulled. Ahaha, I didn't expect to encounter such a long snake. If the boss sees it, he will be very happy. Lenai laughed heartily. Hey, why does this snake look like a catfish? It's so disgusting. Ma Yin curled her lips and spoke. Meat. I don't know if it tastes good. Shitong sat on the python. I'm already drooling a little bit. She was a little hungry. Sister. The black pupil next to her handed her a chocolate bar. You must be hungry. Haitong said. Shitong took the chocolate bar. Crunch. She put it in her mouth. Just eat it. After all, the two sisters are so polite. Taste. Although it is not as delicious as meat, it is not bad. Hey, look. Nami raised her head. I saw the huge ark flying from the sky. Although it is still smaller than the sunshine, it is about 1/5 the size of the sunshine. Wow. Are those Kani and Izumi Takatsuki? They really gave the boss a big surprise. Lenai exclaimed. Yeah, and there's a lot of gold on it. Through Nami's eyes, it can indeed be seen that she is very greedy. The eyes are already taking the shape of Bailey. At this moment, Mikasa's side. They all planned to take the golden bell back and give it to Kongzan. It's nice to keep a souvenir. Robin placed the golden clock on the storage ring first. Wow, Robin, your ring is so amazing. Sayali looked at Robin's ring in surprise. Such a small ring can actually fit such a huge golden clock. It's hard to imagine the amount of storage inside. Is this one? Brother Kongzan gave it to me. Robin narrowed his eyes and smiled. She also liked this gift very much. But for Kongzan, it was just a matter of convenience. After all, there has to be something to hold the historical text. As for a storage ring, it's naturally the best. Boss Kongzan is so refreshing. Can I give you something like this? But this is a ring. It can't be. Chelsea hadn't finished her words. A dark aura came over the surface. Well, someone is jealous again. Ahem. Robin coughed tactically, and then said, don't think too much. Brother Kongzan gave this to me to help me store the historical text. Naturally, this sentence was also meant for Mikasa. Otherwise, I'm really afraid that Mikasa will explode. The words fell. The dark atmosphere also faded a lot. Mikasa was obviously in a much better mood. Chelsea wiped the sweat from her forehead. From now on, Don't talk nonsense about Boss Kongzan in front of Mikasa, she thought to herself. Yamato sighed. Buy shells like crazy here. There are so many kinds of shells. Wind shells, cloud shells, sound shells. Yamato bought them without saying anything. All she had to do was exchange belief for the currency here. After all, Kongzan gave them a lot of pocket money. The currency here is extra. A shell can cost anywhere from a few 100,000 extras to several million, almost dozens or hundreds of Baileys, according to the ratio of 1:10,000. Not expensive either. That's great. So many amazing things. Boss, wrap them up for me, Yamato shouted. A big wave of his hand. Okay. The boss didn't expect to meet a big customer today. Straight up good guy. And other members of the first team. I also bought shells at a nearby store. There are also some souvenirs. After all, this is my first time to Sky Island, so I can't go back empty-handed. This island is really amazing. The island clouds under my feet are all soft. Yari has just stepped out. Unexpectedly, I met Chitong and the others who came back. Wow, Chitong, you are so capable. Caught such a long python so quickly. Seeing this, Yari was a little hungry. I didn't want to go out for a moment. Yari, what do you think is better to eat? Come over and help us. It's too big to handle. Chitong also said to it. When Hai saw this, he naturally refused. Why should I refuse when faced with this? Okay, then let's take care of it together. Yari nodded, then turned around and said, then let's help take care of it. It's indeed time to eat. I'm hungry. And they were very cooperative. I'm so hungry too. Hurry up and start eating. But this python is really big, Maginot said. She stood in front of the python, like an ant. There is really a big gap. I'll skin him. Ariel licked her lips. The divine axe Rita in his hand suddenly appeared. How can such a thing happen without me? Esteth also walked out. An ice blade appeared in his hand. A warm and cold breath seemed to cover the entire place. As expected of you, Yari complained silently. Then the distribution begins. Everyone does something. Ark Proverbs dogged next to the sunshine. Kongzanran was confused. Good guys. You all stole Enelu's boat? Enelu has to die with his eyes open. One by one, they jumped directly from the Ark Proverbs. Brother Kongzan, how are you? Do you like this gift? Ren asked with a smile. Ha ha ha, sure. Kongzan silently gave a thumbs up. Izumi Takatsuki led the 5th division to find this, but it requires my thunder element to activate it. Shinobi explained. After all, she didn't want to take all the credit. You all did a good job. This ship is also of great help to us. But now only Shinobu can activate it. And as Yumi Takatsuki found it, then this ship I'll leave the authority to you two teams. Kongzan touched his chin and started planning. Oh, okay. Shinobu nodded quickly. She also liked the ship very much. And you can control it as you wish. Unexpectedly, the gift he gave Kongzan would be given to him again. At this moment, Ren was even more happy. This is a win-win situation. No problem. Takatsuki Quinn was also satisfied with this arrangement. We follow Brother Kongzan's arrangements. Shana Hu also said the same. That's all. Kongzan, the motto of the Ark, was handed over to the 5th and 6th divisions. Later, Mikasa and the others are also back. He also brought back a golden clock. Kongzan was speechless. Put it on that Ark as a decoration. Kongzan waved his hand and said, that's all. This historical text is included in the Ark Proverbs together with a golden bell. Place it in the middle as a decoration. Is the historical text that comes with the ship okay? The last wave. Yamato came with several bags of shells. Really amazing. All of them are very good at collecting supplies. After counting, most of the shells have arrived. There are also some that are extinct. Later, the python feast began. One thing to say, that giant python can be eaten for several days. Chapter 167 The Beast Pirates. Rogue Town. On the ice. The war has begun. This time, almost all the guardians were mobilized. The scene is extremely spectacular, but it was still a completely crushing scene. Demiurge used his word spirit to control tens of thousands of people. Only the stronger pirates like the Beast's pirates were not controlled. But the powerful pirates were entangled by the guardians. Weak pirates can only be slaughtered by the Death Knights. You bastards. I'm the 4 emperors. The terrifying Overlord look spread across the entire audience, but it has no effect at all. Overlord color? What use is this kind of thing to the undead? Thunder gossip. At this time, Kaido was already in the form of a dragon. A mace with an Overlord color directly hit Cositas, who was wearing blue armor in front of him. Dang! Cositas held a blue battle axe named Broken Tooth in his hand to block its attack. The breath of terror spread round. What a powerful force. Is this the 4 emperors? I, Cositas, approve of this power. The frightening cold air also dispersed to the surroundings. Block this stick. Cositas also made an output. The axe struck. When it comes to using weapons, he is almost the strongest in the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Arsehole. So fast. Kaido's eyes widened. The momentum of both sides was like a dragon and a tiger competing. Dang. However, Kaido blocked it. Kaido is much taller than Cositas. Cositas is only 2.5 meters tall. Kaido is 7 meters tall. But height doesn't mean strength either. At this moment, Kaido was still bound by the word spirit. If he hadn't been physically strong, he wouldn't have been able to fight Cositas. Only now did he realize that the other party was far more terrifying than he imagined. Damn it, where did that boy find such a powerful companion? Kaido was extremely upset. The two seemed to be equally powerful. They all took a step back. You are a respectable opponent. Cositas inserted the long axe in his hand into the ice at his feet. Of his 4 hands, the upper hands are clasping his chest, and the lower hands are on both sides. Hey, since you're so powerful, why did you obey that brat's order? Kaido looked at Cositas and asked. Little ghost? Who do you mean? Cositas seemed a little confused. A puff of white smoke came out of his mouth. That kid is called Kongzan, Kaido said directly, very arrogantly. Are you talking about Lord Kongzan? He is the supreme being who created us. Our entire great tomb of Nazarick was all created by that lord. You are talking about a kid or something. That's too unreasonable, Cositas shouted angrily, and Kaido was dumbfounded. How is it possible? The kid created these things? Impossible. At that time, he was just a piece of meat that was trampled under his feet. If it weren't for that terrifying recovery ability, he would have been killed long ago. How could he have such ability? Create such a strong man? Kaido felt that he had been tricked by the other party. Are you kidding? And the other side. Ember, one of the 3 disasters. Your partner is really powerful. He almost killed me. I'm so sorry. Sabaz looked at Jin in front of him. His expression was full of indifference. You killed Jack? Jin couldn't believe it. He is 6 meters tall. Sabaz is less than 2 meters. He couldn't imagine that such a human could kill Jack, who was 8 meters tall. Just unbelievable. Exactly, Sebastian said lightly. Arsehole. Hearing the other party's confirmation again, unspeakable anger burst out from Jin's heart. The blade in his hand instantly burst into flames. Bang! The ice surface was trampled to pieces. Wings appeared from behind and slashed towards Sabaz midfly. It's really quite fast. Sebastian turned sideways for a moment. Then he grabbed his arm with impressive skill. Wah! Jin was thrown out directly. Even the ice surface was left with a concave mark. The next second, Sebastian appeared directly in front of Jin. Boom! He punched Jin in the face. Jin hasn't mastered the balance yet. Boom! In an instant, his head was directly hit into the ice by this punch. It seems you are still too slow. Sebastian looked at Jin, whose head was buried under the ice. He spoke calmly. Then he shook his hand. Sebastian was about to turn around. Arsehole. Jin stretched out his hands. I wanted to pull my head out from under the ice. Hey, you are a strong man. I respect you. If you want to continue, I will accompany you. Sebastian shook his head and sighed helplessly. Continued to speak. He watched Jin gradually pull out his head without stopping. And one of the 3 disasters. Quinn sighed. He has transformed into a standing Brachiosaurus. There is also a mechanical arm, which looks very strange. The one he was fighting was Demiurge. It's really rare. What race are you from? Demiurge asked, looking at the other party's strange appearance. What race? Of course I'm human. Isn't it obvious at a glance? Quinn said bluntly. Human? Demiurge looked at the opponent's huge body, orange skin, robotic arms, and a Brachiosaurus head. This is a human. Forget it. No matter what race you are, dare to invade Nazarick's territory. You are really looking for death. Demiurge raised his glasses and spoke coldly. Suddenly, his body is filled with fire. It was a suffocating temperature. He rushed towards the opponent. Now that you're here, punch me. Drink. Quinn didn't seem to care about the flames on his body. Just punch him. Demon forms, powerful demons and giant arms. Demiurge's arms suddenly became much larger. He also punched Quinn. Boom. The terrifying temperature on Demiurge's body actually melted his hand in an instant. My hand. Are you kidding me? Quinn screamed in pain. And the temperature of the other party is absolutely beyond imagination. He quickly withdrew his hand. But Demiurge didn't hold back. Wah! He kicked the opponent in the abdomen. Quinn suddenly stopped after screaming. Then he looked completely fine and laughed. I lied to you. Quinn's head and tail were instantly shot out from his body. His true form is like a snake. Oh? Just say it feels wrong. Demiurge looked at the body of the Brachiosaurus at his feet. It has become a pile of scrap metal. These are all machines. Not entirely, it seems, but most of them have been converted into machines. In that case, Quinn suddenly felt armed and domineering. Wah! He rushed towards Demiurge like a snake. Demiurge was tied up in an instant. Chapter 168. Escape Quinn only tied Demiurge for a moment. The terrifying flame temperature actually destroyed its armed domineering force. Even the rough-skinned and fleshy Quinn rolled his eyes and fell down. You are really asking for trouble, Demiurge said disdainfully. His flame is no ordinary flame. This is the flame of the angry demon general, and it can easily melt even artifacts. The mere physical body wants to block it. It can only be said that the other party underestimates himself. He waved his hand slightly, and the flames faded away instantly. The battle ended easily. Kaido's sighed. He transformed directly into a huge green dragon and flew into the air. You guy, how dare you joke at this time? Then let you go to hell. Dragon breath. terrifying energy gathered in the mouth of the giant dragon Kaido. Boom! Energy struck Cositas like a red beam of light. What a powerful energy! Cositas praised. He still had his arms crossed. The next second, I saw the huge ice extending upward from the ground with a swish. Boom! The dragon's breath produced a huge explosion when it hit the ice. White smoke covers the ice. Humphrey, this time I should. Kaido's voice stopped abruptly before he could finish. Is that just this? But it is indeed worthy of pride to be able to break more than half of my ice and let me pick up the axe again. At this moment, Cositas blocked the axe in front of him. Because that piece of solid ice actually didn't completely block the dragon's breath, Cositas leaned on his axe to deflect the final blow. How is it possible? Such a monster. Seeing this scene, Kaido was really surprised. But there are too many elusive things today. Kaido looked around. The beast pirates had already suffered serious losses because they couldn't stand the suppression of the word spirit. If this continues, my own beast's pirate group may not survive. Even one of them. Looks like we have to leave. Boys, retreat! Kaido shouted, spreading everywhere. But at this moment, Cositas kicked his legs. An axe struck Kaido. Bang! He knocked Kaido down directly. Arsehole. This time, Kaido's head was knocked dizzy. Then he quickly changed back to his human form. If you change into dragon form on the ground, you will only be overwhelmed by the opponent's human seat tactics. After all, there are undead skeletons all around. He covered his head, a little wobbly. Bang! Cositas' long axe hit the ice directly. Express your dissatisfaction. Come to Nazarick and become our enemy. You still want to leave so casually? You don't take our Nazarick seriously, Cositas said coldly. What else do you want? Killing so many of my subordinates. Jack also died here in the big signboard Drought. Is it possible? You still want to keep us all? Really? Is Kaido, the beast, easy to mess with? Kaido gritted his teeth. You know, he hasn't been injured yet. It just feels a little bit manipulated. But there was no actual damage to him. White smoke came out of Cositas' mouth again. The four emperors? You are vulnerable in front of us, Nazarick. You are too arrogant. He finished his words. A casual wave, frost spirit, an ice mist dispersed from all around. This cold air made Kaido feel a little chilly. He even felt that his blood was frozen. Then, the space next to Cositas seemed to it was torn apart, and it was pitch black. He reached into the dark space and took out a long knife. This was the artifact among Cositas' 21 weapons, the god-slaying sword emperor. It is the sharpest weapon among his 21 weapons. Then he stuck the long blue axe into the ice. No matter what, the so-called four emperors here came to Nazarick. Your life will not be so easy to save. Piercing ice bullet. Cositas stretched out his hand. Swish, swish. Those ice spikes flew directly towards Kaido. Kaido quickly blocked them with a mace hook high in his hand. But the next second, Cositas actually appeared in front of Kaido. Wow! The Emperor of the Gods' Ealing Sword directly cut off Kaido's right arm. What? Kaido's eyes widened. He is the strongest creature, Kaido. Actually, the arm was chopped off! He felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. Not even the Navy can give him this sense of fear. Blood spurted directly from his arm. But less than 3 seconds passed. Because of the terrifying ice power exuded by Cositas, it froze his wound directly. Kaido transformed into his dragon form and flew directly out. That's right. He's scared. He had never felt so scared. Everyone retreat, he shouted angrily with all his strength. Jin's head was pulled out from under the ice. Arsehole. His mask also shattered, revealing his white hair. He heard Kaido's voice, turning to look at the sky, but he saw Kaido running away. Mr. Kaido, TSK, I won't play with you anymore. He finished. He also stopped fighting with Sabers who was standing aside. But with a swish, he instantly transformed into a pterosaur and flew up. Follow Kaido and leave. At the same time, countless remnants of the party also ran away. But almost all of them died. Tens of thousands of people came. In the end, only a few hundred people survived. Cositas, are you going to let him go like this? Demiurge came over and asked with a frown. It doesn't matter, the four emperors seem to be a very powerful force here. If word spreads that we defeated the four emperors, no one will dare to continue the attack. Cositas put the God-Slayer Sword Emperor into the darkness space, he said calmly. Then he picked up his axe. Oh, that's right. It's rare for you to be so smart, Cositas. Demiurge touched his chin and thought for a moment, then nodded in praise. Really? These troublesome guys are still so slow. You guys are too ink. Shintia, wearing Lolita, walked over and yawned. My side ended quickly. By the way, Sabers, you didn't solve it over there, right? Demiurge looked at Sebastian again and frowned. If the four emperors let him go, they could indeed promote the power of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, which would make sense. But Carders and so on. Just kill them. I made a mistake, Sebastian said casually. You know, he can be said to have the highest justice value among the Great Tomb of Nazarick. If the opponent wants to fight, he can accompany him to the end, even killing him with one blow as a sign of respect. And he won't engage in sneak attacks or anything like that. But if the other party wants to run away, He won't deliberately stop him. Chapter 169 Meeting. I should have known I would have left it to me. You two are really unreliable, Shaltier said. I'm so sorry, Lady Shaltier. Seriously, Sebastian is just a butler, and he doesn't bother to fight. It was just arranged by Albedo. It seems that she wants to test the opponent's level. Currently in the office on the 9th floor of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Albedo had seen everything through the mirror. She touched her chin and muttered to herself, is the opponent just this kind of combat power? It seems there is no need to dispatch so many guardians next time, just in case. 1 or 2 guardians, plus the Pleiades star cluster, may be able to solve it. Indeed, through this battle, Albedo probably understood the opponent's strength. Suddenly, the mirror in front of me changed. In the mirror, a man's face suddenly appeared. Lord Kongzan. Albedo quickly stood up. The position she was sitting in now should have been where Kongzan was sitting. She can sit down if Kongzan is not here. But since Kongzan is here, she must not sit down. And the man in the mirror right now. It is Kongzan. How are you doing recently? Kongzan asked, sitting on a chair. Recently, a man named Kaido came to attack Rot Town with an army. Albedo reported. Oh? Kaido. He went over there if he couldn't find it. Kongzan was slightly surprised. Didn't you expect that Kaido and yourself have such a deep hatred? I went to find Rot Town by myself. So, how is the battle going? Kongzan asked. Kaido broke an arm. It seems that someone named Jin is gone. There were tens of thousands of people on the other side, but in the end, only 100 people were massacred. It was a victory at the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Don't worry. Well, Lord Kongzan, we will help you conquer this world one day. Albedo put her hands on her lower abdomen. He said with a serious face. Ha ha ha. You don't have to think so much, and you don't have to bear so much pressure. Leave it to me to conquer the world. For the time being, you just need to defend Rot Town. Kongzan said with a smile. Road. For him now, it is only a matter of course that this world becomes your own. So there is no rush. We can help you. Albedo seemed to have realized the wrong idea and felt that Kongzan did not need their help. Kongzan continued to chuckle and said, of course, you can help me. Soon. Maybe I will need to rely on your strength. Hearing Kongzan's words, Albedo felt a little relieved. Master Kongzan, please make use of us. She put her hand on her chest and looked at Kongzan in the mirror very seriously. That serious look made Kongzan slightly stunned. Then he raised the corner of his mouth and said to Albedo, don't worry, there will be a day. Kongzan said, yeah, that's enough. Albedo responded lightly and smiled. At the same time, Navy headquarters. This is the first emergency meeting in recent times. Because of Kongzan, they have held more than a dozen meetings, large and small. Is it this kid again? What happened again? Didn't there just be a meeting on Alabaster 2 days ago? Kingsley covered his head and looked at the reward order hanging on the blackboard. Really? Very annoying. Talk about it every day. Talk about it every day. The reward on the blackboard has risen to 3 billion billy. This guy's money went from 1 billion to 3 billion in less than a month. It can be said that there is no one else. But Okiji really has no choice. Recently, our troops surveying not far from Rot Town discovered the beasts heading towards Rot Town, and the battle is over. Do you want to know the winner or lose? Warring States said with a gloomy face. The 4 emperors and 100 beasts. Kaido? Did he attack with the 3 disasters? Ainu asked in a deep voice. Not bad. And more than half of the beast pirates have arrived. Only a small part of them stayed in Wano. Sengoku nodded lightly. Then explain. Well, I admit that those people are very strong. But if it's against Yonko Kaidobi, and there are tens of thousands of troops, it would be easy to bulldoze a rogue town. Ainu replied. Obviously he is very confident in Yonko Kaido. After all, that guy is indeed rough-skinned and thick flesh, and completely unbeatable. His subordinates also have many animal-type ability users. Ainu, don't forget how you lost. I think it's better not to underestimate them too much. Okiji curled his lips and spoke. Bang. Speaking of this, Ainu became angry. He stood up and said angrily to Kingsley, arsehole. Obviously it was you who brought me. But before he could finish his words, he was interrupted. Ainu, we're in a meeting now. Pay attention to the occasion, Sengoku said bluntly. I know. Ainu swallowed his anger and sat down. But he was already furious inside. In short, this time, Kaido of the Beasts did lose. Sengoku's words reached the ears of everyone present. And everyone already showed a surprised expression. How is that possible? That's Kaido of the 100 Beasts. If Kaido is defeated, then the new Yonko. Could it be that Kongzan is he going to become the new Yonko? Everyone was talking about it. Ainu also gritted his teeth and lowered his head. Quiet. Warring States shouted. Everyone shut up. They all looked at Warring States with solemn expressions. They did defeat the Beast Pirates. Drought, Jack and Plague Quinn among the 3 disasters. Were confirmed dead. Kaido's right arm was chopped off. Fire disaster. Probably the best situation. Of the tens of thousands of pirates in the Beast Pirates, only a few hundred are left. And this is only the power of the Great Tomb of Nazarick in Rot Town and the strength of the Sand Hidden Village in Alabaster. We still have no way of knowing. Let's put it this way. Do you understand? Sengoku's words were very deep. He was also amazed in his heart. How I hope this is just a dream. Otherwise, how can I defeat an enemy of this level? Unexpectedly, even the 4 emperors can do it so easily. The Great Tomb of Nazarick. What exactly is it? He dragged his chin and murmured. Can anyone really be so powerful? On the sea, the Yonko Kaido made the first move, but he defeated the opponent and fled. What a powerful guy. Isn't Kaido a rival? This kind of power is not limited to just one place. Even Alabastu is like this. Garp didn't look like he was laughing at this time. He also looked serious. The lieutenant generals also discussed in low voices. Chapter 170 New Bounty. Neither Sand Hidden Village nor the Great Tomb of Nazarick have ever appeared in the past. We can't find out how they suddenly appeared. It's like they appeared out of thin air. This is equally weird. Warring states continued. If this continues, the balance of the world will be overturned. Originally, it was the Navy that kept the pirates in check, but such powerful existences appeared one after another. There is also the possibility that the Navy will be overthrown. This is also true. Everyone present was more or less aware of it. In short, with their strength, if our Navy meets, for the time being, we can only reduce the losses. We will not confront them head-on. Warring states covered his head. This is also very helpless. This was the first time someone actually forced their Navy to this point. Still a pirate. I don't know where the pirates came from. The same is true for inexplicably powerful forces. It's so difficult to understand. Is there really no other way? Let this guy do whatever he wants. We are the Navy. Tota stood up directly. As a Navy, it is helpless against pirates. This feeling made Tota very uncomfortable. Peach Rabbit, sit down, Crane said suddenly. After all, Peach Rabbit is also considered Crane's little sister. Peach Rabbit didn't dare not listen. She clenched her fists. Hey, he sighed and sat down. Yeah, I understand that you all have your own justice in your heart. But we have to live to carry out justice. The other party's force is simply outrageous. And those abilities are almost certainly not devil fruits. Ability. I have already told Wu Luxing about these things. I had a meeting with Wu Luxing and Navy Commander Cyborg Kong before. The wanted orders for these people have also been revised. Let me show you now. First of all, the wanted poster taken out by the Warring States period showed a samurai in blue armor with 4 hands and an axe. This is, he frowned. It doesn't look like something simple. This one, the 4 hands, don't look like humans. I don't know the name either. I only took pictures from a distance. But it's just such a thing that will kill Kaido. His right arm was chopped off. Since this is the first time a reward has been offered, it's set at 3.5 billion. Warring States spoke. 3.5 billion is really low. After all, Kaido has 4.6 billion. But after all, this was the first time a reward was offered. The Navy swallowed nervously for this guy who defeated Kaido. He also has the ability to control ice. Hey, Oji, your frozen fruits are really becoming less and less valuable. Warring States shook his head helplessly, and then continued. And this one, the man who killed Drought Jack and defeated Jin. To be precise, he was an old man, appears to be the steward of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Sengoku once again took out a reward order. Place it directly on the desktop. An old gentleman with white hair. This is set at 1.8 billion. Warring States continued. Just such an old man? Surprisingly, Gulu. The Navy couldn't help but swallowed. This news contains too much gold. Yes, it's this old man. Hey, obviously he looks so old. He's actually so powerful. Warring States also exclaimed in amazement. Then he continued to take out a wanted poster. Demiurge. This is information obtained from the last battle. That is, he killed Plague. Quinn. His strength is also very terrifying. Guang, it's that kind of spiritual speaking skill. It can probably make most of the Navy below the Lieutenant General unable to move. Warring States continued to analyze. Everyone below Lieutenant General? Kizaru's eyes widened. Isn't the human sea tactic completely useless? Tota gritted his teeth. The Warring States period is an understatement. There may be some weaker Lieutenant Generals who can't bear it. Looking at everyone, Warring States nodded lightly and continued. Yes, the human wave tactic is useless. At least it must reach the level of a general. So, to fight them, a general is the minimum standard. Some lieutenant generals may not be able to move freely under that kind of oppression. Hearing Sengoku's words, every marine looked extremely serious. The admirable general has now become the latest standard against the enemy. This is the standard for the position. What I said may not be accurate. To put it simply, the 2-color domineering must be at least high level, that is, to the extent of destroying the inside. Then the 6th Marine style is completely proficient. The strength should be at least 20,000. This is the minimum requirement. Warring States looked at everyone. Speak calmly. What? Advanced 2-color domineering power. The power is worth 20,000. These are outrageous standards. All the lieutenant generals murmured. You must know that Garp's power value is only about 60,000 to 70,000. The requirement of 20,000 is already very high. Okay, quiet, Warring States said again. Then he started talking again. Finally, One person's bounty has been increased. Because of the recent series of actions of the Dragon Slayer pirates, the 5 old stars have decided to increase Kong Zhan's bounty to 4 billion, and it is considered to be compared to the 4 the Emperor's existence is even more dangerous. As for Kong Zhan at this moment, he had no idea that the Navy was already very worried because of him. Even if he knew, it was none of his business. What he is concerned about now is where should he go to his next destination. According to the main plot, we should go to the capital of 7 waters first. But there doesn't seem to be anything particularly attractive to Mither. The only person who gave him some motivation. Maybe it was Khalifa. Anyway, he has no interest in Pluto's drawings or anything like that. As for Khalifa. It would be okay to go there later. He still wanted to go to the Terror Bark first. In contrast. He was more interested in Perona. Look at that Moria again. There seems to be an invisible man. Kill him if you get the chance. To prevent your own crew from suffering a loss. That would be more uncomfortable than suffering a loss yourself. Xiaoling, let's go to the Terror Bark. Kong Zhan said directly. Understood. Positioning location successfully. The 3-masted terrifying ship starting. The 3-masted terrifying ship. What is that place? Yan beside Kong Zhan asked out of curiosity. That's a huge ship, Kong Zhan said calmly. Oh, huge? How big is it? Isn't our ship already big? Yan asked again. How old are you? Kong Zhan touched his chin, thought for a moment, and then continued. It should be about the same age as Lei Ado. Chapter 171 The Crisis of Chi-Chi in the Sky. I saw a huge ship followed by another ship full of gold. The 2 ships were soaring in the sky, and Lei Ado. Yan's eyes were full of surprise, and then he asked, if I remember correctly, Lei Ado should be our angel who was summoned by you in the first place. The land we arrived at, right? Kong Zhan nodded lightly and continued, that's right. It's even bigger than that land. What? Are you interested? Kong Zhan looked at Yan asked. A bit. Yan felt a little hopeful. I wonder what such a huge ship will look like. It's actually as big as this kind of island. Unbelievable. You'll know in 2 days. But it's not a bright place. Kong Zhan also said somewhat mysteriously. That's it. It's not a bright place. Yan suddenly felt a sense of urgency in his heart. Are there any enemies over there? The expectation turned into a warning. But Kong Zhan opened the group chat without caring. Group chat. Baixiofai, Yuwa Xiaoi. Butterfly Ninja. Are you sick? Kanki Ken. His girlfriend is crazy. I Watan Ino Fumi. Brother is quite pitiful. Izumi Shinichi. That's really tragic. Kanki Ken. Brother has finished cleaning up, but the task has not been completed yet. No Fumi Iwatani. It's so difficult to kill all the zombies in this world. Kong Zhan. After all, those 15,000 points were not given in vain. These points are quite a lot. Kanki Ken. That's right. It's enough to buy 2 perfect freedom ultimate intention Kung. I Watan Ino Fumi, why do you want 2? Kanki Ken, I'm just making an analogy. It's an analogy. Kanki Ken helplessly covered his head. It's really hard to mix. Ding. Group member Chi-Chi was attacked by soldiers, asking group members for help. Task difficulty, low level. Task reward, 500 points. Number of people limited, 1 person. Which member accepts the task? Kong Zhan, let me do it. After all, Kong Zhan originally planned to abduct Yu-Chi. It might be just right to have such an opportunity. Yan, I have something to do. Wait for me a moment. Kong Zhan said to Yan in front of him. What? Yan didn't react yet. Suddenly his eyes widened. Kong Zhan suddenly disappeared. Hey! Yan stood up quickly. Looked left and right. In the dilapidated school building. Chi-Chi was knocked unconscious by a group of soldiers. But Jia was hiding on the 2nd floor and watching. Kong Zhan suddenly appeared in front of the group of soldiers. He looked at Chi-Chi calmly and then at Jia. Hey! Are you so cowardly? Kong Zhan raised his eyebrows and shouted to the gathering on the 2nd floor. What? Just. Jigang wanted to retort, but the other party pointed the gun at him again. Just let the frightened Jibao lie down on his head. TSK. Kong Zhan couldn't help laughing. Hey, who are you? The black bald man asked. Meanwhile, the remaining soldiers pointed their guns at Kong Zhan. Me? I don't think you need to know. Kong Zhan chuckled and shook his head. Seeing the casual look of the other party, the black-skinned and bald man wrinkled and immediately shouted. Take him away too. Several soldiers immediately walked towards Kong Zhan, surround Kong Zhan and gradually approach him. Jia could only watch over there. Hey! Kong Zhan sighed softly, stretched out his hand, and continued. Give you a chance. 3 seconds. Put down your weapon. After 3 seconds. Every time I snap my fingers, one person will die. I hope you won't all be so stupid that you die. Kong Zhan chuckled. What? Are you kidding? Go up and catch him. The black-skinned bald man shouted directly. Then let's begin. 3. Kong Zhan just counted the first number. The soldiers rushed forward directly. One of the soldiers wanted to take his hand off, but Kong Zhan didn't move at all. The number 3 on his hand also became the number 2. 2. He continued. One of the soldiers kicked Kongzan's feet diagonally. Still motionless. 1. Pa. Kongzan snapped his fingers. I saw the body of the soldier who kicked Kongzan gradually disappearing. Ugh, my body. This scene instantly shocked the 6 soldiers around him. What you did? The black-skinned bald man was shocked. 3. Kongzan ignored him and continued to count down. Shoot. Kill him. The black-skinned bald man drank directly, and those soldiers immediately raised their guns. 2. The countdown continues. Thud, tug, tug, tug. Bullets continued to shoot out. But the next scene shocked them. The bullets stopped in front of Kongzan, just floating in the air. 1. The new countdown is over. Click. Another snap of fingers. The scream sounded again. The original number of soldiers was once again reduced by 1. 6 soldiers became 5. At the same time, all the bullets in the air disappeared. How is that possible? The black-skinned and bald man looked stunned. This scene was simply unbelievable to him. In this situation. How did the opponent make the bullet disappear out of thin air? He was really full of question marks at the moment. Oh, that's right. He looked at Chi-Chi being dragged by the soldiers on the opposite side. He suddenly felt bad. The next second, Naki suddenly appeared in Kongzan's arms. There seemed to be bloodstains on the corners of his mouth. What's going on? All the soldiers were confused. Why was Chi-Chi, who was in their hands just a moment ago, in the other's arms the next second? Are you kidding me? Why on earth is this? Okay. Then I'll continue counting down. Kongzan continued to speak. 3. He just shouted a number this time, but the other party seemed to be a little unable to hold on. Wait, let's talk about it. The black-skinned bald man was sweating a little, and he took 2 hurried steps forward and said, 2. The countdown continues. And the black-skinned bald man quickly said to the soldiers, put down all the guns. The soldiers heard the order. He also quickly put the gun on the ground. Is this okay? The black-skinned bald man wiped the sweat from his forehead and continued to ask. I said, 3 seconds, put down the weapon. It's over now. So, please die. Kongzan showed a faint smile. Papa. He snapped his fingers again. The black-skinned and bald body began to disappear instantly. No, arsehole. He screamed. The body was also losing bit by bit. What Ying Manji was watching on the second floor was extremely frightening. The surrounding soldiers were so frightened that they ran around. These soldiers were originally frightened. Chapter 172 Growing Stronger. Run, run. A soldier suddenly shouted. Then the remaining people dispersed in an instant. Hey, can you escape? It's already been 3 seconds, right? Pap. A snap of the fingers started again. A soldier disappears again. 3, 2, 1. Party A. What a boring game, Kongzan said with a sneer. Less than half a minute. No matter how far the remaining people run, they were all easily eliminated by Kongzan. As for Chi-Chi in his arms, it took time to pause and get her in hand. Naturally, they won't notice anything. The blood on the side of Chi-Chi's mouth was Kongzan's own blood that he poured into her. In this case, you can take it back with you. Such and such, such and such. Call it a day and go home. Kongzan brought Chi-Chi back to the ship. Chief. She is. Yan looked curiously at the unconscious Luchi in Kongzan's arms. Somewhat unclear. She's a new member. It's called Chi-Chi. Take her to the women's dormitory. Just wait until she wakes up and talk to her. Kongzan handed Chi-Chi in his arms. Liao Yan opened his mouth to explain. Is it Chi? I understand. Yan nodded lightly. He took Chi-Chi over. Although Chi-Chi is still unconscious, Kongzan has already passed on some information. When she wakes up, she will naturally understand the current situation. This is also the convenience of being the Ghost King. And Yan just carried Luchi into the cabin. Kongzan sat down. The points have also arrived. It was a small matter, so it was resolved quickly. He looked at Cornus not far away. Yes, it was Cornus. She also joined the Dragon Slayer pirates. It seemed that Shinobu told her a lot about King Hai, and the more she listened, the more she wanted to go on adventures together. Shinobi came to find him later. At first, he asked coquettishly, Kongzan. Brother, are we still short of musicians on the ship, and the like? And they did lack musicians on board, just Japan and one, so it was natural to accept Cornus. Thank you for your patience, otherwise I would have almost forgotten. This little angel Cornus on Angel Island. Hey, my memory is bad when I get older. Because Cornus was brought in by Shinobu, Kongzan assigned her to the 6th division. Unconsciously, the number of people increased a lot. If you pray, Kongzan plans to be assigned to the 2nd team. He is in the same squad as Hiwa. The 2 musicians were quite good in the past. Kongzan took out the paper that divided the character squads, then add another stroke. 1 First team captain, Yamato members, Seko, Ryo, Kimijima Kana, Sasha, Anne. Vivi. 2 Second team captain, Yari members, Maginot, Area, Esteth, Seiyu, Vinata, Kuri. 3 team 3 captain, Mikasa members, Robin, Raftalia, Chelsea, Seiyu, Kia. 4 team 4 captain, Akahito members, Black Hitumi, Main, Lenai, Seal, Nami. 5 5th division captain, Dakatsuki Izumi members, Kairi Shimatuka, Hinami, Mano Akatsuki, Yonbayashi Psycho, Nokiko 6th Division Captain, members of Butterfly Kani, Butterfly Ninja, Kanu, Nezuko, Kanroji Michuri, Tashiki, Cornish Dash added the name of Yuki. There are almost 40 people. It's getting stronger day by day. Kongzan smiled with satisfaction. At this time, Shitong walked over from not far away. Brother Kongzan, are you going to continue eating that snake meat tonight? There's a lot of that giant python left. She looked at Kongzan expectantly. He asked, oh, that snake meat. Okay, it tastes good. Kongzan nodded and praised it. After all, he did eat the snake meat. It tastes great. Speaking of which, that snake seems to be called the Lord of the Sky. I seem to have seen it in the original work, but I didn't expect that it would become a meal by accident. Think of this. Kongzan couldn't help but chuckle. Brother Kongzan, why are you laughing? Shitong seemed a little confused and asked. No, it's nothing. Let's have a good meal today. It should be that tomorrow, Kongzan said with a bold face. After all, they use airplane mode. The progress is much faster than normal sailing. Otherwise, it would have taken several days to arrive. It won't take them that long. Kongzan's voice was also heard by Sasha not far away. Do you want to eat meat tonight? Meat? Sasha drooled and suddenly shouted. Yeah. Bang. Annie punched her in the face. Idiot, don't forget we are still practicing. Anna scolded directly. I was practicing well, but when I heard that I was eating snake meat at night, I lost my concentration instantly. Anna was speechless. Sasha covered her face and stood up with an angry look on her face. You attacked me. Anna waved his hand in disdain and said, huh? We were just practicing domineering. Obviously it's you who divides the points yourself. I'm sorry. Anna rolled his eyes. Arsehole. Sasha punched him angrily, a punch full of killing intent. So fast. Anna quickly dodged. Ah. No meat. Sasha looked angry. It seems like her head is full of meat. It should be the meat that gives her the motivation to fight. Well, we don't know either. Kongzan watched this scene. Couldn't help but laugh. In his eyes, it was really harmonious. Sasha is not dead. As expected. Great. Kongzan sighed. Up to now, although many people on the ship were sleeping with him, they were not married. Someone like Mikasa really doesn't want to take away her innocence. Kongzan still wanted to enjoy it slowly, because he likes this kind of blank slate girl. But your own needs. Just ask Seko and the others to help, so there's no need to waste all that white paper. Seko herself is relatively virtuous. You will also feel more relaxed inside. But what if Mikasa and herself are in trouble? I guess I have to pester him every day. Sometimes this is not good. There will be a sense of restraint. If Mikasa is like this, be jealous from time to time and be a pure love warrior. On the contrary, it feels pretty good. What Kongzan wants to do is to preserve their innocence as much as possible. That's enough. But sooner or later, we have to cross that hurdle. But Kongzan still doesn't want it to be too early. Well, no matter what, I have to kill Momonosuke first. He is still very soft-hearted towards his own people, but love the enemy. I have nothing to do with Rain, especially Momonosuke. Castrated, stewed, cut it into pieces, feed the dog. That's pretty much it. At this time, Black Eyes not far away saw the two of them and walked over. Sister, Lord Kongzan. What are you talking about? She seemed to ask curiously. Nothing. I just asked Brother Kongzan if I can eat snake meat at night. Gulu. Kaitong drooled at the thought of the snake meat. The taste is quite wonderful. Quackstick. Then what? Master Kongzan is so gentle. He must have agreed to you. Haitrong's look seemed to have been expected. After all, 99% of their requests can be met by Kongzan. Humphrey. Shitong couldn't help but chuckle. Chapter 173 The Magic Triangle. In the Magic Triangle, there is a huge sailboat. The entire sailboat is as huge as an island, and the Magic Triangle area. It was full of smog and extremely dark. Difficulty finding direction. I can't see what's going on here. I can only see some dilapidated sailboats. It's so scary, Yuri said as she looked down from the boat, showing a fearful expression. There's nothing to be afraid of, Yamato said, pretending to be strong. But I was still a little scared inside. After all, this is the Magic Triangle, an ominous place. More than hundreds of ships disappear here every year. It's normal for you to be afraid. Kongzan, who was beside them, looked calm. To him, it wasn't a big deal. It's really not a bright place. Yan is an angel. The whole image is contrary to this. There is nothing fun in this place. But the power of shadow is very strong, Mikasa said. Because it's really dark here. It is indeed very suitable for Mikasa's battle. In a place like this, Mikasa's shadow power can also be brought into full play. I don't really want to go out. Shinobu puffed his lips and said. It was dark everywhere, and it was all hazy, so she really didn't want to go out. It's night now. It's a little dark. It's just because of the fog. It's really uncomfortable. Kani said. Most of the darkness nearby is actually the reason for the darkness, but usually it's fine when it's dark. Because of these fogs, it makes people feel even weirder. And there were no lights or anything nearby. I could only see my surroundings clearly by the moonlight. They will also be a little scared. It's okay, we're almost there. The island not far away was gradually revealed. Is this a terrifying three-masted ship? It's really a spooky ship, and it's really big, Seko thought. There is actually a castle. Looking at the castle in the distance, Chelsea was also surprised. No, The focus should be big. How can there be a ship as big as the island? It's too exaggerated, Lenai complained. It's exaggerated to have a castle on the ship, Chelsea said. After all, they had never seen such a scene before. Is our enemy the guy who lives here? It's really interesting. Takatsuki Quinn licked his lips, looking down with interest. No. This is too scary. Nami was about to cry without tears. That's right. Nokigo echoed in a low voice. What are you afraid of? As long as Brother Kongzan is here, we will be fine. Kia comforted the two of them. That's true. With these super strong guys here, I decided that I won't leave my squad any longer, Nami said seriously. That makes sense. Me too. Nokigo nodded quickly. After all, they still know too little. I was also surprised again and again on Kongtao. We're almost there, Kongzan said calmly. By this time their ship had arrived at the castle. In fact, it's quite conspicuous. Many zombies below raised their heads and looked at the two ships in the sky. Sunshine and Ark Proverbs. Okay, next, take what you prepared before. Kongzan directly took out a super loud anti-fall announcer. Then he threw it directly towards the castle. The next second, Mariah, you big idiot. Your father is coming to find you. Mariah, you big idiot. Your father is coming to find you. A huge voice spread throughout the whole place. Bark. Don't talk about Mariah who is in the room. These zombies are stupid. Who doesn't know that Mariah is the boss here? Moonlight Mariah with a bounty of 320 million. Boom. The wall was kicked open. What bastard? Mariah shouted angrily. Walked out of the castle. He has a huge body. A hair like a shallot, and looks like a devil. He has two horns on the side of his forehead and cross-shaped sutures from his head to his neck. Wearing a shirt with a bat-shaped collar and gothic clothing. Other carders were also alarmed. They all came out. Absalom has the jaws of a lion and golden hair. Hogback, a genius surgeon who looks like a bull. Perona, the pink-haired ghost princess wearing Lolita. Maria looked at the announcer on the ground. Bang. He stepped on it directly. Ha 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 ha. Perona laughed with a strange laugh. And then continued, I don't know which shady guy dared to mess with Lord Moria. Absalom, however, he said with a trembling tone, hey, look at the sky. He looked up at this moment, saw that huge ship. Huh? This is a flying ship, is it? The one who has become famous recently. Moria was slightly surprised, and then started to laugh. Hee. I didn't expect that guy to actually come. His shadow must be very suitable for Oz. Hogback asked strangely. Him? So who is this person? Hogback didn't seem to know what that person was. Backing. Because he doesn't pay much attention to newspapers. That's him, the one who took over Rotown and Alabasta. It is said that his men in Rotown chopped off one of Kaido's arms. 3 disasters killed 2. Absaramu suddenly spoke. What? You aren't kidding, are you? Hogback was surprised, and his voice was a little sharp. The Lord of the Dead Realm, Kongzan, has powerful power that I don't know where it comes from. The identity is even more mysterious. It's like appearing out of thin air, Absalom said thoughtfully. His expression was solemn. Hee. Kaido is really in trouble. To be defeated by such a brat. The Yonko is nothing more than that. Moria still felt that Kaido must have slacked off. He didn't become stronger, which was why he failed. Although he lost to Kaido 23 years ago. But you can definitely win now. I can definitely defeat Kaido now, Moria thought secretly in her heart. He looked up. Hey, it's you, Lord of the Dead Realm. Is it interesting to hide on the boat? Come down if you can. Isn't it fun to insult me by throwing this thing? Moria shouted angrily. Milia. It's really noisy. Kongzan grinned. Don't know when. He has actually appeared in front of everyone in Moria. This time, the third team followed Kongzan. That is Mikasa and the others. And Yan's words. Also following Kongzan. Hee. So, I wonder what the Lord of the Dead Realm is here for today? Moria laughed again. At the same time, many zombies were also surrounding him. Chapter 174 Shadow World. What's the matter? It's nothing. I just want to free up another position in the Kyuhai. Mariah, what do you think? Kongzan raised the corner of his mouth, full of provocation. Hee. You mean? You think you can defeat me? Moria was so angry that he laughed. His eyes were full of anger. Me? No, I didn't defeat you. Do you need my help with your little strength? Just let them. Kongzan shook his head. He glanced at Mikasa and the others behind him, pushed back his hair and chuckled. What? Are you looking down on us? This made Princess Phantom Perona angry, and the next second she shouted directly, negative ghost. A ghost flew towards Kongzan in an instant. But Kongzan only raised his hand slightly. The ghost disappeared without a trace. Hey, where's my ghost? Perona also lost control of the ghost. There is no sense of ghosts at all. She suddenly looked surprised. Perona, your abilities are pretty good. It's a pity that you met me. It's just a ghost. Just destroy it, Kongzan said with a grin. Destroy? The other 4 people looked surprised. Destroy the ghost. Are you kidding? Hogback swallowed in shock at these words. I can't believe it. Brother Kongzan, there's no need to lie to you. And attacking so rashly. Don't you think it's rude? In that case, I won't be polite. Mikasa walked forward first, and then turning her head slightly, she said, you don't need to take action. I am enough alone. Mikasa said to the members of the third team. Okay, it's up to you, Captain, to show off your skills. Come on, Captain Mikasa. Everyone also encouraged Mikasa. Of course, Mikasa's face was full of confidence. Then, let's start with these guys first. Mikasa looked at the zombies surrounding them. If you look carefully, you will find that the shadows of the zombies are trembling, as if they are afraid of something. Mikasa said calmly, "Why are you still standing there? Stand up." I saw the shadows of the zombies standing up one by one, appearing behind the zombies. Creak. Twist all the zombies' necks from behind. What? How is it possible? This ability to control shadows. Lord Moria. Absalom's eyes were a little shocked, and then he looked at Moria. I didn't expect. Do you even have abilities similar to mine? Unfathomable. But I am a shadow person who ate the shadow fruit. What can you do? It's just a shadow. He. Moria laughed. His tone was full of disdain. Because he is a shadow person himself, he doesn't think these shadows can cause any harm to him. Shadow? Then can you give the shadow a soul? Mikasa said lightly, then looked at the shadows and continued, let's start. Tataka. Destroy the guy who took away your body and controlled your shadow. Mikasa just finished speaking. I saw that these shadows seemed to have self-awareness. They all started roaring. Moria, you were the one who killed me. Yes, it was him. He also took me away as a shadow. Arsehole. Kill him. He killed all 4 members of my family. Come on. Many shadows stood up together. Begin the crusade against Moria. How is that possible? How can a shadow have physical memory? At most it contains some habits, skills, etc. Moria looked at the shadows in disbelief. There is nothing that the god of shadow cannot do. Mikasa finished her words. A group of shadows rushed towards Moria. The weapon in his hand seemed to be transformed into a shadow. How is that possible? Arsehole. Looking at the group of shadows, Moria took out a huge pair of scissors. Subtract forward. Shadow Kieri. The giant scissors cut towards the shadow of a swordsman. But the swordsman instantly blocked it with his shadow sword. Logically speaking, as long as it is a shadow, it can be cut out easily. But not this time. There was a stalemate. How is it possible? This is not a simple shadow. Because of Moria's huge body, it was only a moment of stalemate, but the shadow was still easily knocked away. But this feeling of touch was completely different from the shadows he had encountered in the past. Shadows in the past were both virtual and solid objects, but this time the shadow in front of me was not empty, only real. The shadow materializes? Really outrageous. The shadow that had just been knocked away by Moria returned to its original state in the next second. As if nothing happened, he rushed over again with a long sword. Moria, I will make you pay with your life. That swordsman really had emotions like a human being. Extremely angry emotions. This time, even Moria was a little shocked. Shadow box. Moria continued to use his ability. He turned his shadow into flying bats, and then surrounded the swordsman's shadow with these bat shadows. The next second, the bat shadow formed a black box-like cube to trap the swordsman's shadow. He. It seems like that's all, Moria said at the same time. Absalom and Hogbark on the side were unable to resist. Princess Mononoke's words cannot fly in the air because they are her true form. But she discovered that negative ghosts actually worked on these shadows. I'm so weak. Hey, I was born a worm. Many shadows lost their fighting spirit like this. At the same time, it also means one thing. Are these shadows poured into the soul? This is why you can be affected by negative ghosts. How is it possible? These shadows are not only close to entities, but also have souls. Perona said in surprise. What on earth is this? This is not a pure shadow. Moria also said with a frown. Shadows. They also have souls. The shadows you see in the real world are only part of them. After all, you can only see a flat surface. And the shadows standing in front of you are complete from the world of shadows. Body shadow has immortality, is not afraid of the sun, has soul and emotions. This is the true complete body shadow. It's like the other half of a person, Mikasa said lightly. But it shocked everyone in the audience. What a shadow world? How could there be such a thing? Moria himself had never heard of it at all. And he is a person with shadow fruit ability who doesn't know about this kind of thing. So it was even more difficult for him to imagine such a thing. But there seems to be no other way to explain these shadows. Chapter 175 Demon Oz. What on earth is that? Shadow world? Moria suddenly felt cold sweat. She's obviously just a little girl. But why did he realize just now that the aura on her body was extremely terrifying? A faint black aura emanated from her body. You don't need to know this. My mission is to get rid of you. Actually, it's easy for me. I'll give you a chance to prepare. I advise you to take advantage of it. Mikasa crossed her arms and looked at Moria calmly. Moria gritted his teeth. At this time, he also understood how powerful the girl in front of him was. Don't dare to slack off anymore. That's so eloquent. Then wait for me. I will defeat you with my strongest zombie. Do you dare to accept it? Although Moria was smiling, his eyes were extremely heavy. Stare at each other. The strongest zombie? Mikasa raised her eyebrows slightly, and then continued. Then try it. She was actually quite interested. I don't know how far the so-called strongest zombies can go. Mikasa raised her hand slightly. All the shadows stopped. Go back. Mikasa lowered her hand slightly. All the shadows disappeared. Back to the shadow world. The world of shadow is a world opposite to this world. It can be said that everything has pros and cons, be it objects or life. The world they live in now is a colorful and bright world. You can get very close to the shadow, but you will never reach the level of the shadow. Shadow world is a world of complete darkness, but there are shadows. They act in darkness, relying only on their connection with a world of light. Is Lord Moria going to use that? But if the other party can also control the shadow, it feels a bit difficult. Hogback shouted and started to discuss with the other two people. Indeed, I didn't expect the enemy this time to be so terrifying. Fortunately, the girl stopped those shadows. Otherwise it would have been over. And there were so many people on the other side. I just came out casually. One person is so powerful. Absalom was also covered in sweat. I was very nervous inside. Damn it. And my negative ghost is of no use. That's outrageous. Destroy the ghost or something. I feel like I'm not on the same level as them. Perona also spoke irritably. He also stamped his little feet. After all, the opponent can even destroy the soul. Doesn't that mean you can destroy their souls? At this time, the humans who had their shadows taken away from them in the forest not far away were also watching this scene. Sister, do you think they can defeat Moria? A thin man with an afro asked. If I read it correctly, that should be the Lord of the Dead Realm. No problem. In this case, we really have hope of getting the shadow back. Laura's eyes were filled with excitement, looking at the stalemate battle not far away. The shadows of those zombies return to the shadow world, which also means that the shadows of this world return to their original owners. Lord of the Dead Realm. What is that? A younger brother asked without knowing why. 18 years ago, the man who killed many pirates in the illegal zone of the Shampoo Islands, the area that even the Navy cannot control, was forcibly occupied by them. Number 13 of the illegal zone was occupied by them. It's called the Forbidden Area of Death. In that area, there are countless bones of hundreds of millions of pirates. It's extremely terrifying. You know, Moria is only 300 million Baileys. If there was him in, maybe it can be done. Laura seemed to be looking forward to it. Could it be that I and others could finally take back the shadow and stand under the light? And everyone was surprised when they heard Laura's words. And next, boom. A violent sound. A huge zombie giant breaks out of the wall, with a huge height of nearly 70 meters. Moria sits in the hollowed-out belly of a zombie giant. He. Although I can't use a suitable shadow, I can only use my own shadow. I don't believe it. How are you going to control my shadow? Suffer death! Exclamation mark. He. This is the demon Oz 500 years ago. It is also your honor to die by his hands. He. Moria said about Oz. This seems to be very confident in his strength. I saw the zombie demon Oz walking towards Mikasa step by step. I'm really fed up. I thought it was something. It turned out to be something like this. Mikasa curled her lips. In an instant, black armor covers the whole body. If that's all, it's over. Mikasa finished speaking. But Moria was very angry, because such words are tantamount to looking down on his masterpiece. Are you kidding? Go to hell. Moria controlled Oz and rushed directly towards Mikasa. Roar. Oz still roared like a ferocious beast. Wah. He punched Mikasa with a punch. The body is obviously very huge, but the body is extremely fast. Mikasa transforms into a shadow. But he didn't rush towards Oz. A black blade appeared in her hand and slashed towards Oz's shadow. Suddenly, Oz's arm was suddenly broken off. But the shadow of his arm was caught in Mikasa's hand. To be precise, it's Moria's shadow. Mikasa grinned. Zizizi. The shadow in her hand was gradually dissipate bit by bit. At the same time, Moria's arm is also disappearing. Ugh, my arm. Moria was in great pain. Lord Moria. The three Kadas on the side shouted quickly, extremely worried. Arsehole. Absalom didn't care so much. He opened the invisibility fruit and rushed towards Mikasa. But Mikasa's knowledge, and lust are all at their full level. He can completely predict the future and sense his direction. Bang! An air cannon hit Mikasa directly. Mikasa held out her hand. A black shield suddenly appeared in front of her. Go to hell! Moria showed a crazy face. He stepped on Mikasa with one step, and Mikasa just stretched out her other hand again. If you copy and paste the other hand, the same black shield appears. Boom! Juju stepped down with the sole of his foot. Dust is everywhere. As expected of Lord Moria. It's definitely done now. Absalom looked excited. But the next second, wah! Black shadow thorns extended directly from the dust. Penetrated its body. What? Absalom looked in disbelief. Blood dripped. Absalom, Perona and Hogbark shouted together.